I'm moving away, but I'm too guilty to leave my friend's disabled son.
But that's not your son.
Today, we have stories about families that got destroyed because of the sons in their lives. Son of a what? When I was in college, I got a job looking after an elderly couple's middle-aged disabled son, John, on afternoons and some weekends.
Okay.
John is unable to take care of himself and requires constant supervision, but he is an overall very pleasant person. I grew up with 2 severely disabled siblings, so I'm quite comfortable with John. I don't have any formal caretaking experience, and because Jan and Jerry were retired, I was almost never completely alone with John. They took on the heavy lifting, so to speak, but they liked to have me around so they can have the freedom to run errands by themselves, go on walks, take naps, etc. Caring for John was truly a full-time job, and hiring me helped to lessen the burden. They were extremely kind people, paid me well, and treated me like family.
Nice.
And by the way, this comes from user Pickle the Sunflower on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, over time, I grew very close with Jan, Jerry, and John. I brought over meals for them every week and we would eat together.
That's so sweet.
It stopped being about the compensation, although they did compensate me generously. This whole situation went on for about 4 years. Once I graduated college, I stopped working for them formally, but still spent time with them regularly. Around this time, Jerry passed away. Jan and I remained close, and I went back to assisting her with John on a part-time basis, even though I had a full-time job at this time. John is Jan and Jerry's only child, and all of their siblings are either dead or live far away. They had many close friends from church and around the community, but it was still difficult to find Jan the support that she needed. About a year after Jerry passed away, Jan was diagnosed with cancer. She continued to care for John full-time, even while battling cancer and undergoing treatment. But eventually, as her disease continued to progress, she moved John to live in a full-time assisted living center. Towards the end of her life, we visited him together, and she expressed her fear that he would have no visitors and become depressed after she passed away. She asked me if I would continue to visit him regularly, and I agreed. She told me that this was her only dying wish. Jan passed away over 3 years ago, and I've remained a part of John's life ever since.
Okay.
I visit his care facility that is over an hour away at least twice a week, because it is important to me to uphold my promise to Jan.
Twice a week?
You're a person of principle, OP, and I respect that.
You're an angel.
However, my husband recently received a once-in-a-lifetime job offer across the country. We're talking thousands of miles away. I'm so happy for my husband, but I can't seem to get this awful pit out of my stomach. If it wasn't for John, I would have absolutely no hesitation moving away, but I can't let go of my overwhelming guilt. John really does have no other visitors. If he's lucky, a church friend will come by once every 6 months or so. If I leave, he will be alone. Yes, he has his caretakers, but they care for dozens of people each day. Most of the other patients in this care facility are far less amicable and pleasant than John is, so he has difficulty making friends. The personal connection is just not there, and without it, I worry he will regress. Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot to worry about. I really don't know if I can move across the country in good conscience, but I know refusing to leave could jeopardize my marriage. Do I have any options legally if I wanted to pursue moving John to a care facility in my new city? Money is extremely tight, so I can't fathom hiring a lawyer or taking on any personal financial responsibility over John, but I just don't know what to do. Sorry for the length.
Wow. You're an absolute angel.
But let's get into this edit. Thank you all for the overwhelming amount of replies. I never expected this post would receive so much attention. I'm still sorting through my feelings, but I have to accept that it would be crazy to put my life on hold just to be there for John. Thank you all for the amazing suggestions. I'm going to get John a tablet and plan bi-weekly video conversations. That idea never occurred to me. We'll start video chatting before I leave so he has a chance to get used to the new form of communication, in conjunction with the usual in-person visits, of course. I'm also in the process of working with his church to find him more visitors. Thank you all so much. My husband thanks you. In response to the question over who has power of attorney over John, to be completely honest, I don't know. I would imagine it's one of his aunts or uncles. That worries me, however, because they are all in their 80s and 90s. I have a lot of unanswered questions about John's future, but I do know Jan and Jerry planned well financially, and he has a large trust. I'm going to talk with the staff at his care facility and see if they can give me any additional information. And here comes the update. So far, everything has played out as positively as it can for OP.
I see some maneuvering.
Yeah, that was pretty slick. Last time I posted, I was overcome with guilt about the prospect of leaving my disabled friend to move across the country. I honestly couldn't tell you the amount of hours I cried over this situation. It opened up so many cans of worms. Before this, I was living on autopilot. Coming to terms with the situation made me realize that I'm still grieving my parents. I still feel guilty about not putting in enough work taking care of my disabled siblings, therefore putting the burden onto my parents. Oh yeah, so there's a whole lot that's being unpacked right here.
Oh wow.
I feel guilty about not visiting my siblings more. I miss Jan and Jerry terribly. I miss when I was younger and everything seemed so much easier. I didn't want to leave my home of 30 years, but I knew I had to. I was so scared of letting my husband down. I just had so many emotions tangled up in my promise to Jan, my commitment to John, and the prospect of moving thousands of miles away. I received so much great advice in my post. I know I didn't reply to most of the commenters aside from a few special private messages, but I really can't put into words how much all the support meant to me. It really helped me when I was in a low place. So here goes with the update. My husband and I bit the bullet and made the big move this February. Before I left, I bought John a tablet and we practiced video calling 3 or 4 times. Honestly, it didn't work very well. He didn't seem to connect with me as well through Skype. He was distracted and irritable, and he didn't seem to recognize that it was me inside that tiny computer. The last time I visited him, I was heartbroken. I gave him a huge hug and a kiss. He's not normally super into physical contact like that, but he took it really well. I gave him a care package of some of his favorite candies and treats, and he was really happy. It was so bittersweet. I can't say I ever really felt confident in choice, but I can confidently say that you can join us live on YouTube every weekday at 3 p.m. PST. Just tap the profile.
What a CTA, bro.
Hey.
Dude, I was like really connected with the story.
It was smooth,
And then it's like
wasn't it? Come on, it was smooth. And we got a little bit left here, but
Okay.
let's talk about where OP's at.
You
where we're
did
at.
a good move. I think this is what is best for you to grow as a person and going across the country. That's just the best you can do. You did it.
Yeah, it's definitely a hard decision, and there's a lot different stuff mixed up into it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
your commitment to, Jan, and then your own stuff with your own siblings and your own parents. And from my perspective, I don't think you've done anything wrong. I think you did right by Jan and by John.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
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 So let's finish this off here. We continued with video calls bi-weekly until about 2 months ago when I received a call from his treatment facility that John passed away after choking on a plastic game piece.
Oh
my God, that's horrible.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry. That's terrible. I'm still utterly devastated. He was one of the most special people I've ever known, and it's hard to accept the reality of him really being gone. It's still a shock to me just typing this out. I know Jan and Jerry believed in heaven, so I like to think that they are all together, happy and at peace now. I miss all 3 of them very much.
Oh.
Wow. I mean, is that negligence on the part of the care facility? Like, isn't he supposed to be in like a full assisted living scenario? Like,
Dude, I don't know. I mean, game piece, he may have just been doing his own thing, like the recreational part, and no one was like right there to see it, and it takes 5 minutes.
It might have been a hard thing to catch. Yeah.
Oh
Wow,
my
gosh,
gosh.
that's terrible.
That
Sorry
was the
about that,
saddest
OP.
story I've ever read. Oh, there's more?
Yeah, there's just a little bit more.
Oh, gosh.
I can't thank this sub and my professional licensed therapist for the support. I know this is a really depressing update, but I've wanted to thank all of the commenters on my original post for a while, and it seemed fitting to make a final post.
Yeah.
And that is the end of
Wow.
that story. I suspect that you are going through it or were going through it, and I wish you all the best in navigating the emotional minefield that you have found yourself in. And I hope that you can find solace in truly believing that they're all in a better place right now.
They are. Together.
My wife wants to send our queer son to a conversion camp. So I divorced her.
Yeah, send her to one to like gay people.
Yeah, I'm going to send you to the conversion camp where you get divorced, lady. So this is a pretty heavy situation, and I'm really confused and disgusted, not gonna lie, because I never thought my wife was like this. My wife, 44 female, and I, 45 male, have been married for 14 years. We have 2 kids, a 16-year-old son, Noah, and a 12-year-old daughter. We've had our fair share of disagreements over the years, of course, but things have generally been smooth between us. By the way, this comes from user StunningMud9227 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So now, for the context, Noah came out as gay about a year ago. It was a surprise, and as hard as it was to accept, I love my kids more than anything, and I just want their happiness. My wife visibly didn't take it too well, though. She was upset and seemed to go through a grieving period where she didn't really talk about it. I tried to support Noah in every way I could, telling him that I loved him no matter what, etc. My wife, though, I could tell she wasn't on the same page. She would say things like, quote, "This is just a phase. phase or he needs help, but I brushed it off as her just needing time. Fast forward to last week, and we were having a conversation about Noah's future. Out of nowhere, my wife casually mentions that she's been looking into conversion therapy camps and thinks it might be the right solution. She said that Noah isn't truly gay and that he just, quote, hasn't been shown the right path, and this could fix him. My blood ran cold, obviously. I was in shock. I immediately told her I didn't agree and that this was not something I could support. Duh. She got upset and said I was enabling Noah's confusion and that if I really cared about him, I would help him get better. What is wrong with her? She was persistent, and no matter how much I tried to explain that conversion therapy is harmful. Like, I know kids get abused and often end up either traumatized or or worse, and that I would never send our son to something like that. She wouldn't back down. If I'm being 100% honest, I don't even think that I love her anymore. The fact that she could be so heartless disgusts me. I know being gay is not easy, and people like her just make it even harder. I'm considering staying only for our daughter's sake.
Okay.
Would it be okay if that meant hurting my son? It feels like a betrayal to Noah. I just don't think I can keep living with someone who thinks this is okay.
I just like the excuses that the mom keeps making, like, no, Noah doesn't, like, this is just a phase.
Yeah, it's so condescending.
No,
Like-
Legos are a phase. Actually, Legos aren't a phase.
Legos
It's
are
not
for
a
life.
phase.
We have some relevant comments here. OP needs to get a divorce as soon as possible. His wife is setting their son up for child abuse. And OP responds, I mean, yeah, of course, I really want to divorce her. We don't even talk anymore. But I know how dang close my daughter is to her mother. But I know at the moment I need to focus on Noah, and hopefully my daughter will be wise enough to understand. Commenter 1, not the a-hole. Please do not send your son to conversion therapy because of your wife's heartlessness. OP says, you do not have to worry about this. I will not do that. I love my son just the way he is. I don't even know how to tell him his mom wants to do that. The kids noticed the tension between us, but I haven't said anything yet. Commenter 2, staying for your daughter's sake. WTF, what about your son? Not the a-hole. Divorce her and get full custody immediately of both kids. Tell the judge you fear crazy parents will turn your daughter against your son and raise her to be a bigot like her. Also, if you get any of her nonsense in writing, get it in text, save it. Don't tell her you're going to use it in court. Conversion camps should be illegal. It's so disgusting.
Yeah.
OP says, you're absolutely right. I'll start looking for a good lawyer and cut her out of our life as soon as possible. So, looks like he's no longer on the should I stay for the daughter's sake. It's, you gotta get it right. Which I guess, yeah, you don't want your daughter being raised by a bigoted homophobe that wants to send their own son to conversion therapy.
Because that makes great people in this world.
Yeah. She clearly has, she's got to work through something. Who knows? But we do have an update. So, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone here for all the help and advice I've gotten under my post and in DMs. Sorry if I couldn't answer to everyone. There was just so many effing people, LOL. So I posted something about my wife wanting to send my son to a conversion camp. First of all, some people told me to show her videos and documentaries about what happens there, but this argument has been going on for more than a week now. I've showed her things and she still won't budge.
Wow.
Really bad update, if I can be honest, so let's get into it. All of you told me to try to get him out ASAP. Y'all were definitely right. So yesterday I took the day off and went to see an attorney just to get some information about divorce. But after what happened, I'm 100% sure I want a divorce ASAP. Yesterday, I went to pick Noah up at his school, and as many of you suggested, we had a long discussion. I basically told him his mom and I may be getting a divorce because she wants to send him to a conversion camp, but I can't accept that. I've talked with her many times, and I told him I'll probably go through with it. He looked really hurt, and my heart broke all over again, but was very understanding and thanked me for standing up for him. I pulled him into a tight hug and told him I'll always love him no matter what, and that nothing is his fault. And that right there is what I would be most concerned about. That was when earlier I was like, I wouldn't tell him that because I feel like it would be so easy for Noah to get it mixed up in his head where it's now my fault that because I'm gay, my parents are getting a divorce. And it's like he doesn't need that over him at all.
No.
At that moment, he started crying because he was so glad that I at least was on his side. And I'm very pissed, so I'm sorry if I don't make sense, but apparently his mom had been pressuring him for months. Whoa. She planned dates with girls to try to fix him, and he had to lie by saying he was going to a friend's house instead.
Wow.
She was saying he needs help, and as much as she loves him, he needs to get his condition cured?
Dude, this mom's gross. This mom's
Crazy, dude.
How do you still think this way?
She's a hater.
She is a hater.
Yeah.
I feel so bad because I've been so oblivious to all that, and I failed to protect him for all that time. How do you make your 16-year-old son go through all that? So when we got home yesterday, I can't lie, I was furious, and I confronted her right then and there. At first, she was trying to explain she was doing it for him, but her speech quickly turned into slurs, and it was clear that she was just ashamed of having a gay son. In the end, I told her I went to see an attorney, and that learning all that just confirmed that I wanted divorce. She got really angry, calling me a delusional disgrace. We argued a lot, and at some point, Noah tried to separate us, but my wife struck him multiple times.
Oh my gosh.
Dude,
Wow.
what?
She was saying disgusting things like he's a dirty F slur and that it's all his fault we're getting divorced because his filth corrupted me. Whoa.
Oh, yeah, just get
Demon.
Get her
Demon,
out of
demon.
there. Get her
Yeah.
out of there.
My daughter, who was probably in her room, came to see what all the commotion was about and was rightfully horrified and quickly called 911 when I told her to. Long story short, cops got there and took her away. She was very reluctant to go because she was not in the wrong and they needed to let her go. I explained everything to my daughter and she doesn't want anything to do with her mom anymore. Right now, I'm in the hospital because my soon-to-be ex-wife broke my rib while I was restraining her.
Whoa.
Wow. So she was getting feisty.
Demon strength right there.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
I should have probably went as soon as the cops took her, but I don't care. My son was crying with a black eye and a split lip. Obviously, the only thing I cared about was to comfort him because I can't even imagine what it would feel like being hit by your own mom for being gay. I'm planning to file for full custody, of course, and my kids don't want to see her ever again. Given all the charges she's facing, I hope she won't stand a chance against me. I just sent a mail to my attorney, and I hope procedures will be fast. I've also thought of getting child protection services involved, but I'm not sure they will really help. And by the way, you can join us live on YouTube and Facebook, TikTok, and Twitch every weekday at 3 p.m. PST. Just tap our profile and you're in.
This is in freaking.
Yeah.
Where did this
that was
come
pretty
from?
brutal.
The fact that the mom, it just like came out of left field, the mom just becoming this demonic entity.
Yeah.
This is I can understand him being concerned, like, because I've heard so many stories of like all of that, like turning left and it's just going wrong.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know, in my head, I can come up with like because of the fight that happened there, like, and it like the whole environment is unsuitable. So it's like nobody gets custody
Oh,
or something
I
like
see.
that, where it's
I
like
see.
because you were fighting with your
Yeah.
wife, you don't get custody either. So it's like, you know, it gets real dicey.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
I cannot understand how you can grow so resentful of your own child because of something they can't control. Even I had pretty strong opinions about it, but as a father, it's my role to unconditionally love my kids. And so I learned about the topic and changed my way of seeing the world for him. It took some time grasping it, but I never doubted 1 second the love that I have for my child. I thought it would be the same for my wife. Visibly not. I think maybe that was supposed to be obviously not.
Yeah.
And we do have some relevant comments. OP on his daughter's strength to call for help and get her some therapy if needed. OP says, thank you very much. I'm very proud of her for doing this only at 12.
Wow.
She's pretty shaken and confused, but she seems to understand the gravity of her mom's actions. I am so sad that she had to be dragged into this mess as well. OP on kicking his wife out of the house or moving out somewhere with his kids. We've got a house that is under both of our names, and we didn't have a prenup. People have been telling me to change the locks and throw her stuff out, but I just don't know if I can do that. If I can't, I'll either go back to my parents with the kids or rent an apartment in the meantime.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't think
You
it
gotta
would be
keep your
wise.
Kids safe.
Yeah, and don't do it. You know, if you're about to be in a fight for custody, most likely, don't do anything that could make you look bad on paper.
Oh yeah. Don't be
So
doing that.
yeah, definitely don't just like kick her out onto the street because that's gonna make you look bad. But of course, she deserves it.
Oh yeah.
I would totally agree with that action, but it's not going to be best in the long run. So,
No.
but that is the end of that story.
My mother-in-law ruined my son's birthday party. We want to cut them off.
Cut them off. No more birthday candles. No more birthday wishes.
Sorry, it's long, but this is just crazy. Now we're debating going no contact with mother-in-law and dealing with the possible consequences of losing touch with my husband's huge family over it because of the narrative she's pushing. Background context. My husband, Bob, 30 male, comes from a big family. He's the 6th of 9 siblings, and his father-in-law, is the 1st of 9. Yeah, very big family. His parents are technically separated, although might be trying to work things out. We don't really know and don't really care to know either. By the way, this comes from Admirable Incident 940 on the OK Storytime subreddit. So due to his mother-in-law, abandoning them and only taking the baby, the youngest, and leaving with another man, my husband isn't really close with his mother and doesn't really care to get to know her. My husband was super close to one of his grandfathers, but unfortunately, he passed away last year, and we've been trying to keep things open with the rest of the family, especially because of our son, Jeremy.
Jack or Jeremy?
To Jeremy.
Jeremy it is.
Jeremy, who will be turning a year here shortly. I, 31 female, on the other hand, come from a small family that was already broken up by the time I came along, and it only became worse later with my own mother disowning her mother, and now none of those of us who are left speak anymore beyond funerals. Wow.
It sounds like just a family with no moms in it.
Yeah, this is so sad.
Yikes.
I have two sons, AJ, 12, and MJ, 11, from a previous relationship. Bob sees them as his own and plans to adopt them officially. My father-in-law already claimed them during Jeremy's first laugh ceremony earlier this year and publicly adopted them as his grandsons. What's a first laugh ceremony?
I have no idea.
Okay.
First laugh?
It's just like the first time he lived there, like, oh my God, he laughed.
He's
Ceremony.
mine. Imprinted. Like, what?
Speaking of which, earlier this year, during a certain ceremony that is important in my husband's culture, my mother-in-law basically told me she didn't believe our marriage would last because we only knew each other for 2 years. Now, it is true my husband and I have only been officially together for 2 years, but have known each other for 9 and have been those friends everyone thinks should get together, but never had the chance to, except we did, and said so in our vows. My father-in-law's response was, why hadn't he, my husband, introduced us sooner? And, well, you just read what my mother-in-law thinks. She also told AJ and MJ not to call Bob dad, which is crossing a line we had already agreed upon. He's completely fine with them calling him dad, and he sees them as his sons. We only learned later after the ceremony. Mother-in-law also tried to claim I was lazy and not a good in-law, only for me to call her out. 1, she's not the first toxic mother-in-law I've dealt with, and 2, she's just like my grandmother to a T, who ruined our once close-knit family, who now no longer talk to each other. So yeah. And also claim Bob is too childish and doesn't treat AJ and MJ as sons, but siblings. Bob and I talked about it, came up with a game plan on dealing with her in the future. This is when my husband admitted to not caring if we ever have a relationship with her because she, 1, abandoned him, and 2, what he has gotten to know of her, he doesn't care to know anymore. Made sure we were secure in us and our boys, understood that they can call Bob dad if they want to, and to ignore what she said. It seems like Bob and OP are, on the same wavelength.
They're on the same wavelength. I just maybe
Just don't
before
talk to
things get
mother-in-law.
worse, just execute that game plan prior. Just like,
I thought
no,
you were going to say execute the mother-in-law.
no,
Just get rid of her.
no, just make sure. Maybe
yeah.
I should use that word, but just make sure you're on the same page already,
Mhm.
easy, and before things get, aggravated,
Yeah.
just do it now.
Now on to the issue. A couple of weeks ago, we had called my father-in-law to see if it was okay to hold Jeremy's birthday party at his house because he's closer to the midpoint and majority of family, where we're out of the way 2 towns over. My mother-in-law was there and she answered the phone. Per usual, she took control of the conversation. Annoying, but at the time, we were in agreement with her suggestions. Jeremy's a turkey baby. What?
What are these terms?
And although this year his birthday doesn't land on Thanksgiving, we agreed having it on the day of when everyone will be there was a good plan, along with doing potluck style. Okay, so presumably he was born on Thanksgiving.
Okay, that I was gonna put 2
Sure.
and 2 together, but
Yeah.
I was just like, I don't want to jump to conclusions here.
My husband added, we should do it for both Jeremy and I. I'm a turkey baby too, and my birthday is literally the day before Thanksgiving this year. My dad's a turkey baby, I guess.
I don't know any turkey babies
Yeah.
other than I guess.
Well,
now
actually,
your
I don't know
dad.
if he was born on Thanksgiving, but sometimes his birthday falls on Thanksgiving.
I don't know how I feel about that. That kind of sucks.
It was actually really confusing for me as a child because I thought that his birthday was on Thanksgiving.
So everyone was celebrating Thanksgiving for your dad?
Well, no. I just would get confused what day his actual birthday was because I was
Oh.
I thought it was Thanksgiving. So it took me a while to figure out what day his birthday was
Ooh.
actually on.
What's his actual birthday? Is it?
The 24th of November.
Oh.
Yeah.
So he's just like, might as well just throw it 2 birds, 1 stone kind of thing.
No, I was just separate thought. I was just like,
Oh.
it was like Thanksgiving. Yeah. I just
Okay,
didn't know his
turkey
birthday
baby.
for a while is the point.
Okay. Shout out to those turkey babies out there.
But yeah, we got off the phone with both of them with the green light and began planning. We ordered the cake and planned where to go for decorations and supplies. Now, this weekend, we physically drove down and visited to make sure we were all still on the same page before posting to Facebook what the plan was. Seemed like it. Only thing is, mother-in-law backtracked on her previous statement about the potluck style, stating we should have enough food and was concerned about having too much. We shrugged it off and went home, posting the invitation the next day and tagging the family members I had on my Facebook like we talked about and agreed upon. Monday comes, husband leaves for work. At the moment, he works out of town and is gone all week until the weekend, and crap hits the fan.
Can't wait.
Mother-in-law messages me on Facebook freaking out about the public post. Literally only family and friends can see it, and worried we're not inviting the whole tribe. Bob also had a sister texting with the fact that their mom was freaking out about their dad not working and all that. Now, due to our agreement and game plan for dealing with mother-in-law after the previous issue mentioned above, I didn't even reply until Bob was there via video call because we agreed to deal with it together.
Okay.
That makes sense. For the next several hours, we proceeded in a back and forth with her on the plan, what we discussed, even pointing out what she said and suggested, etc. Basically, our definition of everyone was different. Mother-in-law, anyone who either... So for mother-in-law, anyone who either came in or out of her. So just like their immediate 9, I guess.
Okay. Still very big family. So
Yeah.
this can get very convoluted and very like,
Yeah. Versus Bob's definition of the entire family, namely those he's close to. When I had a friend of mine read the conversation from a third perspective, she asked why mother-in-law was being purposely obtuse and clearly trying to get her way. The final straw was when mother-in-law asked what we meant by family, baby sister's family, or Bob's family. My husband snapped and went, enough! So we ended up changing the invitation to our place and uninvited mother-in-law. We both wanted to crack open a cold one after this. Well, that started another round of drama of Bob's oldest sister calling him crying, saying it should be about the kids, and she, mother-in-law, abandoned them.
this is going to be one of those things where the family's too
Oh my
freaking
goodness.
big that not everyone is going to be invited.
No one's going to be happy about
No one's gonna be
this.
happy.
Yeah.
This is one of those things where it's like, we can't please everyone.
No,
Sorry.
and also it seems like OP and Bob were trying to invite more people. Like, we're trying to get the whole gang together.
At least in a general context, like Bob
Yeah.
seems like he wanted the ones that he's close to, and he's like, oh yeah, that's family.
Yeah.
Those two different misunderstandings of the term
Mm-hmm.
family.
Which we agree, but how can we go with the original plan after this? And the baby sister messaged me on Facebook asking me to remove the uninvited part because it makes everyone look bad. Wait, did they uninvite the mother-in-law on Facebook?
It sounds like the uninvited, but I don't, did they?
So we
'Cause
ended up
she was
changing the
uninvited.
invitation to our place and uninvited mother-in-law.
It wasn't explicit that they did it on Facebook, but I probably
Well, it
did on
sounds
Facebook.
like they did it. It says asking me to remove the uninvited part because it makes everyone look bad. Which, no crap, your mother just turned a birthday party into a power play. It's effing bad. So it seems like I don't know if this needed to be done all on Facebook. I think we could have,
I feel like this
that is the case.
this got messed up
Really quick.
when OP put it on Facebook.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe like not necessarily your fault. It seems like the mother-in-law was making a lot of, making a mess. However, I think just going forward, just do a partiful. Just do a partiful. There we go. It's easy.
You and your partyfuls.
At the moment, the party is temporarily postponed until we figure out this drama BS. My husband and I have re-gone over the entire conversation trying to figure out what the actual F happened and how we ended up as the bad guys for simply wanting to hold a party for our son's first birthday where everyone could come see him if they wanted. We're going back and forth on either trying to make amends and compromising. I know, though, that people like my mother-in-law, you have to hold your ground or it will only get worse. Or just doing our own thing at our house with an open invitation to friends and family like originally planned. Thoughts? I will also update as best I can. Oh, and I'm also debating about telling mother-in-law and pointing out what she is doing is exactly what my grandmother did to my family. And does she really want that to happen to hers? And possibly blocking her. And there is an update. I don't know if it's your place to go to your mother-in-law and say all that. I think maybe
Yeah.
her son could do that. I don't know.
I feel like this is just a standard miscommunication,
Yeah.
and then it just blew up, and now everyone's gonna be talking smack about each other.
Yeah, I think just do your open invite thing, and whoever comes.
Yeah, honestly, like if you just want to celebrate
Yeah.
your son's birthday, which that was the original plan,
Yeah.
with a little bit of Thanksgiving in there, great.
Yeah.
Make it
And
a
then
little
I think
festive.
I think if your husband wants to go talk to his mom and be like, "Hey, your behavior is, whack, and you're messing up the family," that's his place. But I don't think that you can necessarily do that.
Yeah, no.
Because
Just
it's already such a messy situation.
It
'cause
really
she,
is.
She already left the kids when they were younger. So
I would say a party full, but like you said.
Yeah.
But I think just invite the specific, like I think Bob said, the family members that you're closest to.
yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what OP's situation is, or everyone's situation of who's connected to who and who likes who. Obviously, you guys don't like mother-in-law,
yeah.
so don't invite mother-in-law.
Yeah, just don't invite her. But there is an update. Okay, guys, I was not expecting to be doing an update already. However, here I am. LOL. So one of you guys shared a "Don't Rock the Boat," which we loved, and ended up posting to Facebook saying, guess we're the non-boat steadiers. What? Because we found it funny and ironic to the situation. Not as a bash or anything, just ironic. We didn't even tag anyone. So, she had to have been spying on my private Facebook. Well, my mother-in-law commented under it and tried to call me specifically out. She stated my true colors were showing. She tried to claim we were doing a huge celebration on her dime, going to make her do all the cooking and cleaning, while yes, she didn't go after the hubby, she went for me, hid away in the room. I don't know where she even got this idea, but at least we know what scenario and narrative she's trying to pull, which makes it easier to call her out. People need to stop posting on Facebook.
Keep your drama to yourselves.
Yeah, we don't need to post everything on Facebook.
Like, that's a bad, it's not a good look.
Not a good look. So I replied, stop. Did you reply on Facebook?
100%.
And using her own wording against her, I pointed out she was doing a lot of assuming about what we were doing and planning. What we meant by wanting the family to be able to come see the baby, we aren't down there too often, and that's why we had done an open invitation to those family members we're close to, but don't see all that often. And what the whole situation was going to be. That we were planning on cooking, bringing our own dishes. We literally were planning bringing full dishes due to concerns of not buying mother-in-law's concerns of having too much food, and buying a large batch of throwaway plates, bowls, and utensils, along with big trash bags so they didn't have to worry about dishes. Helping with the cleanup, and the only time I'd be hiding would be when I was feeding Jeremy. He's breastfed, by the way. And not only is she not the first toxic person I've had to deal with, but that she's just like my grandmother who played these same games, and now our once tight-knit family don't even talk to each other. And does she want the same for hers? Then keep playing these games, and added I think there's maybe some swear at the end. I will admit, a B move, but I'm so sick and tired of this. Girl!
Aren't you doing that though? You're making
Girl!
you're adding so much fuel to this fire that you like not necessarily originally started, but that you are like having.
This is ridiculous. Okay. OP.
You're the one who's posting it on Facebook and making everyone see it.
And I had to apologize to my husband for making a move without him, but he was fine and just asked for the screenshots of the conversation. Ironically, even before this, we had been talking about going no contact with mother-in-law. My husband said it's not the first time, only usually it's just been in the shadows per se, and this is the first out in public for everyone to see.
What?
Why is it? Why?
Why do you have to do that?
This weekend, when he gets home, we plan on talking about it together and making sure we are 100% on the same page before physically going to my father-in-law's and breaking the news. I told Bob that we just need to make it clear to not only father-in-law, but the whole family, that it's not because of the party. This was just the last straw. This is what I thought our next update would be. Anyways, so yeah. Yikes. Bob wants to hear them out, but we agree to stand firm in our decision. I also plan to record the conversation because I know people like mother-in-law love to twist your words against you. Also, we are debating about posting the screenshots of the conversation
No, stop with that posting stuff.
that led to all this BS in the first place, especially since we don't plan to speak to mother-in-law ever again after this. Don't do it.
No one
No one freaking cares. I'm sorry. No, unless you're posting this on Reddit anonymously, people would probably like this, which you are. You could post them here. Post your screenshots here. Don't post them on Facebook for your friends and family.
This is gonna divide the family.
You're doing like
You're doing what you were like. You don't want to be that person.
Yeah, you're doing this. My friend thinks it's funny that mother-in-law is claiming my true colors are showing when she's literally calling herself out, which Bob and I agree. So right now we're just planning on how to go about this and hoping my husband doesn't lose his family because of it. But as he said himself, his father knows how toxic she is and was the last one to call her out. So it shall be interesting in the least. We just still can't wrap our heads around how this all came from just wanting a simple birthday party for a son's first birthday where the family could join if they wanted to. And there is another update. But yeah.
My take is everyone sucks here.
Everyone sucks here. You and the mother-in-law are adding fuel to this fire, especially knowing that Bob and OP had a conversation before all this went down and said, this is how we're going to handle mother-in-law. You're going to wait. We're going to have a conversation before we make any moves with her, and then we'll go forward together. And instead, she literally went against that and posted on Facebook for everyone to see her little tiff with the mother-in-law.
I love the no one rocked the boat thing, or we rocked the boat thing. Like,
yeah. Oh no, he's like, it wasn't meant to be a call out. It absolutely was.
You are cognizant of what you're doing, and you're just like, it's like such a petty battle.
It's so petty for no reason. Like, we've already established that you guys don't like the mother-in-law and that you want to go no contact, so just go no contact.
There's no need to put in the energy and just make everyone get involved with this.
Yeah, this could have been handled so much better.
Yep.
But there is another update. So yesterday, my husband and I sat down and spoke about the situation and how we both felt. He understands why I wish to go no contact completely with mother-in-law, but we both also struggle with possibly getting removed from any future family events.
What? I don't like that comment. Like, you know exactly what...
He feels the whole family needs a break from each other. After the discussion and knowing where we both stood in the situation, we left our kids with my mom and went to go speak with my father-in-law about the situation. Note, mother-in-law was not there and she had returned to her home 8 hours away until Tuesday. Father-in-law listened and after some silence went off about how the whole thing was childish and disrespectful on both sides.
Yes! Wow! Yes! So easy to understand.
Yes!
And I'm just, maybe this might be like a premonition here, but I think OP's gonna get very upset about that.
I think OP's gonna get mad. I think OP's gonna be like,
what are you talking about? It's only her! It's literally the pointing the finger. Like, you're both at fault here.
Just like us, he's been told multiple different narratives and doesn't know what to believe and frankly doesn't care and thinks it's all stupid.
Yes.
He had yelled at mother-in-law as well and told her off and said apologies were needed on both sides.
Yes.
We agreed, okay, and took fault in our actions with the situation as well.
Okay, we were wrong.
Okay, all right. At least you realized that you guys messed up.
Yeah.
We told them about how we have decided to switch our son's birthday party back to his actual day of birth. And we'll hold a get-together at our house. And we aren't sure if we'll come to Thanksgiving, just so everyone has a chance to cool down. Later, we talked some more with my mom because we still were on a separate fence with mother-in-law. I wanted to go no contact and Bob going little contact. And she helped us decide to go limited contact. We also agreed for me to go the route as one of my sister-in-laws where it comes to mother-in-law. One of my brother-in-law's wife does not even acknowledge my mother-in-law, much less say anything to her. And Bob supports me 100% on doing the same. But we support you 100% on joining us live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST on YouTube, on Facebook, on TikTok. Just tap our profile.
Tap it.
And there is a little bit left to this, but yeah, you need to stop posting on Facebook. Honestly, it's kind of really silly to me that OP is they're going through this whole thing when the mother-in-law lives 8 hours away.
This is so silly.
I can't imagine that she's going to that many family events when she's 8 hours away.
That's why they were doing it in the first place, because their place was a middle point.
Yeah.
This is so silly in so many. I love the father-in-law just be like, this is dumb.
He's like, stop.
Just
I'm
both
annoyed.
of you apologize. This makes no sense.
You guys are acting like children.
This was supposed to be a fun thing, and now guess what? Thanksgiving is kind of like awkward this year.
Yeah, because of you guys.
Literally just you two.
Yeah.
And a little bit of support of, I guess, Bob.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, I know your mother-in-law acts like this, but why are you guys acting like this?
Put way too much energy into this when
So
you should have been
much
focusing
energy.
that energy to a positive thing, like
Yeah.
the birthday party.
It's just ridiculous.
Too much negative around it. Yeah.
Too much. But there's a little bit left.
Okay.
Afterwards, we posted a public statement
Why? Haven't you learned the lesson?
apologizing to those who got involved and how it should have stayed between us and mother-in-law. You're not the freaking, like, I don't know, mayor. You don't need to post a public statement. No
the
one
mayor
cares.
of apologies over here.
No one follows your Facebook that closely.
We don't know that. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe Opie's an influencer on Facebook. We also did our best to our ability, breaking down what led to the situation, along with the fact we had talked about going limited to no contact with mother-in-law after what she had told AJ and MJ about not calling Bob dad. We then explained the changes to plans from switching Jeremy's party to a simple birthday date for me for my birthday, and that we most likely will do Thanksgiving at our place and that we will be going limited contact with mother-in-law. Basically, we went from 3 events being celebrated on one day to 3 separate events on 3 separate days. We also spoke with other family members, some who asked us what happened and others confirming they should be able to come to the new date for our son's party. So that's what we have so far. We posted the statement and new birthday invitation. So far, my husband's oldest sister has reacted with a heart to the new invitation, and we haven't heard anything from anyone else. And that is the end of that frustrating story.
That was very frustrating.
So frustrating.
But that's the most frustrating time of the year
Yeah.
with family members.
Yeah, it's trying to get everyone coordinated, I guess.
Just another Thanksgiving
Yeah.
fallout story.
Moral of the story, stop posting everything on Facebook.
Yeah, if you're gonna have beef, just have beef, but don't
Just,
post it all
yeah.
over.
Go on the text chain like normal people.
What are we in high school?
It's ridiculous. Like you can go on, I don't know, you can text individual family members and be like, oh, hey, I'm like so sorry that happened.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
what was going on. You don't need to post it on Facebook.
Also, communicate a little bit better,
Yeah.
and don't point
Work on your
fingers.
communication.
Yeah, jeez.
But that's the end of that story.
My wife tragically passed away after having our son. Then her friend flipped my life upside down.
No.
Ups-
Opie's
mo-
already had their life flipped upside down.
That's what I'm thinking. Oh my goodness. The situation is nothing short of a cluster F. I'm angry, depressed, and sad, and I don't know what to do. This is a throwaway. I, 32 male, am shattered and I don't know where to turn. My wife passed away last month, only 7 months after giving birth to our son. She developed peripartum cardiomyopathy, a rare and severe form of heart failure that can occur in the months following childbirth.
That's terrifying.
Yeah. And despite the doctor's best efforts, she didn't survive. Losing her so suddenly has left me heartbroken and in a state of constant grief.
And also, like, just after having a child.
Yeah.
So Opie is
So
having
now-
to parent and also handle that grief.
Yes. Oh my gosh. By the way, this comes from Boring Committee 959 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So 3 weeks ago, my wife's best friend came over to visit. She was visibly nervous and eventually told me she had something sensitive to share. After some hesitation, she revealed that my wife had confided in her that she had been unfaithful around the time our son was conceived and that there was a chance he might not be mine. Oh my gosh.
Do you tell him that?
See, that's what I was thinking at first.
But I guess because it might not be his.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Then
If it was
the
just
dad
that she was
doesn't- yeah.
cheating, then like don't say
don't
that.
say it.
But-
But because it might not be his.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Oof.
That's hard. I feel like that
Dang.
would be something to say.
Yeah,
then, if
I
it
think
might not
I think
be.
so.
Yeah. Oh boy. I was stunned and angry. My wife's best friend was telling me this only weeks after my wife's death, and it felt like an attempt to tarnish her memory. I couldn't believe it. I told her to leave and to not come back, convinced she was lying or trying to shift blame onto me somehow. The whole thing felt like a betrayal, and I tried to push the thought out of my mind. But once the idea was planted, it wouldn't go away. I kept wondering, what if she was telling the truth? After days of tormenting myself with this possibility, I decided to get a DNA test. It wasn't an easy decision. I felt guilty for even considering it, but I needed closure. Yesterday, the results came back. My worst fears were confirmed. My son isn't biologically mine. Oh my god.
Opie is going through so much.
This is crazy.
Oh man.
Wow. Now I'm in turmoil. I loved my wife and I wanted to believe that our son was a piece of her and me together. But knowing he's not biologically mine has left me feeling lost and betrayed. I keep looking at him, trying to feel the same bond, but the pain of my wife's infidelity is so fresh and I don't know if I'll ever be able to move past it. I feel awful even considering it, but I don't know if I can raise him on my own. The betrayal I feel is overwhelming and I don't know if I'm capable of giving him the love and care he deserves. It's breaking my heart and I feel like a failure, but I also feel like I'm not equipped to give him the life he deserves. So am I the a-hole? And there is an edit, but what do we think? There's a couple edits.
I don't think you're the a-hole.
I don't think
If
they're
you
the
can't
a-hole.
raise a child who's, not biologically yours, you're also grieving.
Yeah.
And found out that your child who you thought was
Right.
yours isn't yours.
There's so many layers to that
Yeah.
because then it's already like, even if the wife survived the birth, that's already
Yeah.
infidelity that he would have to deal with. Yeah.
Mhm.
And then the fact that like grieving someone and mourning over someone that you realized had done you wrong,
Yeah.
that you didn't know until afterwards.
So many mixed emotions.
That's already something. And then of course, adding the baby on top of it, it's like that's just so
Yeah.
much to deal with. And then also like actually taking care of the baby is like so mentally, emotionally,
Yeah.
physically
Taxing.
exhausting.
Mhm.
Yeah. Wow. That's a lot. I don't
Yeah.
think you're the a-hole though.
No.
I think that's understandable with everything that's going on.
How do you I don't think there is any right path in that situation.
Yeah.
That's very hard.
That's a lot, but there's some edits, so let's get into it. Edit number 1. I hadn't thought of contacting the friend, but I will now. The replies have really solidified what I have been feeling. The child is innocent, but I don't think I'll be able to love or care for him as well as I should. Informing the family will be my first step. Then contacting the AP, the affair partner, if possible. Adoption is going to be my last resort. Many of you believe that I'm a monster, but put yourself in my situation.
Oh.
I hope you all understand.
Not a monster.
Not a monster at all.
And
Oh
also
my
the fact that
goodness.
you're like going through all of these steps, like first talking to the friend, talking
Yeah.
to the family, talking to the affair partner, like finding a suitable home for this child.
Right. You're doing everything right. Edit number 2. So I called her friend. I apologized for my behavior, but also asked why she did not inform me as soon as she knew. She said her loyalties laid with her friend more than me. Okay, fine. I asked her about the affair partner. She said she doesn't know as it was a one-time thing. Apparently it had happened during her work time, whatever that meant, and during daytime as she'd been told. I mean, I'm not fully understanding, but it seems like she effed a guy when she was supposed to be working. Many of you are suggesting I go through her phone or social contacts, but I don't know any passwords. I never doubted her. We weren't controlling of each other and had and gave plenty of privacy. The next step is informing the family, both mine and hers. I'm adding another thing. I don't hate the baby, and I'm not so deranged that I'd throw him out of the house. Whatever happens, happens according to the procedure. I'm not going to instantly abandon a kid just because he isn't mine. In some relevant comments, I know some things too said, not the a-hole. It's not the child's fault. You should tell your wife's family so that they can take him.
Yeah.
I worry if you raise him, you'll always resent him. I'm so sorry for your loss and your wife's betrayal. Please get therapy so you can heal. Best of luck, OP. Blue Boost says, not the a-hole, give her parents the grandbaby. Decent Dig 771 also says, not the a-hole. I'm sorry this has happened. Unfortunately, now he is a reminder of betrayal and a reminder that your life with your wife was a lie. It might be best to put him up for adoption or let your wife's family take him. You will never have the bond with him that you would have had if this truth had not been uncovered. OP says, I haven't told anyone about the test. However, I think it'd be best if I do so immediately. Desert Girl says, social worker here. Since OP was married at the time of the wife's death, he is considered the legal father in the eyes of the family court. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
At this time, DNA has established he is not the biological father. Therefore, he will need to have his parental rights terminated to avoid any legal responsibility to the affair child. OP needs to contact a family law attorney and start legal proceedings to identify the biofather and terminate his rights. There is an update, but let's... What do
Yeah.
you think? What are you thinking so
I think
far?
OP is doing the right things. I think
Yeah.
it's talking to the family. I think it's finding the affair partner. I think those are the first steps.
Yeah, I think that's crazy. Do you think like I don't even know what would have to go on to like take away your parental rights? I mean, it's all sorts of legal stuff that I'm not even going to be able to
presumably.
understand. But yeah, that's a lot. I feel like I would want to have some sort of possible contact, but I wouldn't
Yeah.
want to take care of the child.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I could see like wanting to give the child to the wife's family,
Mm-hmm.
but then being like cool with the wife's family still, so that
Mhm.
like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But then that
some
feels
sort of
weird
contact.
too, because it's like,
Yeah,
I
it's
wouldn't.
messy.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just so much.
So hard.
Oh boy. So there's an update. Thanks to everyone who reached out with advice and support. I didn't get to respond to every message, but I really appreciate it. After finding out my son isn't biologically mine, I decided to tell both my family and my in-laws. My family was shocked and angry about everything, but they stood by me. My in-laws were also shocked, but didn't believe it at first. They asked to see the DNA test results, and after seeing them, they suggested we do a second test with both families present just to be sure. That sounds like overkill, but whatever.
Yeah.
They said that if it confirmed he isn't mine, my late wife's sister, who has a 4-year-old daughter, would adopt him.
Whoa.
And I could take my name off the birth certificate if I wanted to. I agreed, and we did the test yesterday. Results should come in about a week. Honestly, I'm relieved with how things are playing out. There hasn't been any drama, and everyone's been understanding.
That's nice.
That's
I mean,
so
you're already
good.
going through so much.
Yes.
so.
I've also talked to a lawyer who said getting my name off the certificate should be straightforward with the test results. By the way, what's always straightforward is us going live on YouTube every weekday at 3 p.m. PST. Just tap our profile
Tap
and
it.
you can join us.
Join us.
Tap it. Yeah, there is a little bit more. I'm
Go
just
right
going
into
to
it.
jump into it. Thank you all again for the support and for those who offered to adopt him. I'm sorry, but your kindness means a lot. That's interesting.
They're like, I'll adopt it.
Give it to me. I'll update when the final results are in. Also, English isn't my first language, so I use ChatGPT to help with formatting and phrasing. And an edit for those accusing me of karma farming, I'm going to delete this account after all this is over.
Oh.
And that is the end.
Man, oh man.
Man, oh man, that is
Yeah.
just so much.
No, I think the what OP's doing is the right steps forward.
Yeah.
Very hard though, and I'm sorry, OP.
That's so hard.
yeah.
May you someday find someone that you
Yeah.
trust and that trusts you and doesn't cheat on you, and you have a lovely big family with them, if you
Yeah.
so please.
But that's the end of that story.
I think my boyfriend's son hates me. He's mad whenever he sees me.
You don't like mommy time?
He doesn't like mommy time.
You don't like mommy time?
I, 19 male, have been in a relationship with Henry for a while now. I moved into his place last year after another bad fight with my dad. Things have been going relatively smooth for the most part, except when it comes to visitors. By the way, this comes from user UnwantedHouseGuest12 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, Henry has 2 sons, Chris, 26 male, and Junior, 29 male.
And OP's 19?
I think I know why the sons don't like you.
And OP's 19.
Chris visits 2 to 3 times a month, and I'd consider us friends. When he's here, he usually comes early and stays the day just to check in and help me with some chores until his dad gets home. Junior, on the other hand, doesn't seem to like me very much. I don't think he's really accepted that his dad is gay, so he can get mad when I'm here. He's only visited a couple of times before, and they all ended up with him glaring at me and my boyfriend. Before his second to last visit in January, we had a sort of mutual civility other than his glaring. During the second to last visit, it ended in a screaming match with Henry about me. He really, really doesn't like that I'm there. So Chris broke up with his girlfriend, Emily, who's female 27. They left on a good note, so he decided to let her live in their apartment until his lease ended and they could both move somewhere else. Chris lives closer to our place than Junior's, so for the first couple of days, he crashed here. 2 days ago, Junior came to pick Chris and his stuff up from the house. Knowing this and how upset Junior is with my presence, I asked Henry if I should go out to my friend's place. He agreed, so I packed my overnight bag and left. It turns out I forgot my toothbrush. I remembered it when I was only a couple minutes away from the house, so I circled back to go get it. People were asking why I didn't just buy one, but Henry handles the finances and holds the debit card. I had cash, but I was saving it for food. I went inside the front without seeing anyone and just went upstairs to grab it. Coming down, a very pissed Junior was staring at me from the bottom of the stairs. Turns out he parked in the back. He started to yell again, especially at Henry. Chris shuffled me out of the house and offered to take me back to my dad's place, which was really odd since I was pretty sure he knew about our bad relationship, so I just went back to my friend's place. A couple days later, I'm back at Henry's, and he's asking me to apologize and or talk to Junior. He seems really persistent on it, but I don't think I did anything wrong, even if apologizing would be just keeping the peace. Junior kind of scares me now. I don't want to apologize, but I don't want to damage Henry's relationship with Junior. Am I what is that?
Butt face.
Am I the butt face?
I don't know.
AITBF.
Anywho, it doesn't sound like you did anything wrong. That seems like an issue between Henry and his son.
Exactly that. I think they're reckoning with a lot of information they may not have been aware of most of their life. But anyway, let's get into this update. I don't know Reddit protocol, but I think I'd feel like a donkey if I didn't update given all the time you guys took to respond to my last post, especially since some of them seemed very personal. I feel like I worried a lot of you, probably through miscommunication. I'm not the best at explaining things. Also, my dad and Henry weren't exactly best friends, but he wasn't the reason we had that fight. It's unrelated. I read all the comments on my last post. They made me feel weird with myself, so I didn't respond to a lot of them. I assume weird about the age gap. I thought it was just something to sleep off and brush off later, but that night with Henry was really uncomfortable for me, and it just got worse after the next two.
Oh no.
Henry was still being really persistent about me apologizing to Junior throughout those days, so I got his number and called him that morning. I went in the other room and apologized to Junior. He said he wasn't mad at me, but kind of responded tiredly, so I wasn't sure what to make of that. Then it sounded like he was just starting to segue into what you guys were saying. I got scared and hung up on him before he started to spiel and then blocked him. And again, we're not having the context of what the other comments said, but I can almost guarantee the comments are about the age gap and about like something, you know, like the debit card being withheld, sort of like
trying to warn him.
Yeah, trying to be like, hey, I don't know if this is actually a good relationship for you.
Yeah.
It took me a couple hours after Henry left for work to unblock him and call him back. Yes, he was saying what the comments were. I wish I could say I listened really well and voiced my opinion, but I just started effing bawling. After a long hour of him trying to calm me down on the other end of the call and me blubbering, I agreed to go visit his and Chris's, as of right now, place for the weekend for a small break starting Friday afternoon. He was pretty insistent on having Chris pick me up.
Okay, so Junior is making a relationship with OP.
All of this was basically Junior being like, dude, my dad is using you.
Yeah.
Like, this is not a good relationship for you. I told Henry certain parts of the conversation when he got home, and he was very happy that I made up with Junior and thought having me stay with them for the weekend was a great idea. Thursday ended with another uncomfortable night. I'm at Chris and Junior's now. I think Henry has noticed Chris took me more than a weekend's worth of clothes for me, which I didn't realize until this morning, and has started texting me and asking when I'll be back. I haven't responded, so he's starting to ask if we could call. I don't know what's happening. I really don't. I just wanted to know what to do about my boyfriend's son not liking me, and now I'm lost. I really, really love him. He loves me too. I'm sure if I asked him, he'd let me get a job or even go to a community college. But literally everyone else has been calling our relationship creepy, even his own sons. And I'm going to third that. That's creepy.
Yeah, fourth in it.
It's creepy. Sorry.
And everyone else put what fifth you are, what place you are.
And it's like, you can be in love at 19. I was in love at 19.
And you don't need your partner's permission to go to community college or have a job.
That's the point. The dynamic y'all have with you being so young and him being so much older and him basically treating you like, I don't know, like almost like a surrogate child in a way, like where it's like you're not allowed to have a job, you're not allowed to go to school, you can't have the debit card. Like, when are you going to be back home or how long are you going to be gone?
Yeah.
I don't know. His sons know that this is weird. I feel weird making an update because at this point to me, it's like, oh, look at me. But I felt weirder knowing that people were still concerned after my last post, and I don't like making people feel crappy. I'm safe. I'm healthy. Yes, I've been crying. No, I'm not proud of it. It's messy, but I've been working on it. I'm still at Junior's. It's been peaceful. He folds his socks oddly. Who folds their socks?
I do.
You don't ball your socks?
Oh, I ball them. Never mind.
Yeah. Who folds socks? I've been trying to find another place for me to go. I don't want to be a burden for the next eternity or witness whatever the heck he's doing to his socks. It's also kind of awkward living with your boyfriend's son. At least it feels like it to me in my head. He hasn't done anything that makes me feel that way. I could go back to my father's, but quite frankly, I really, really don't want to. A friend suggested contacting my extended family, which is an option, but I honestly don't know them very well. The last time I've seen any of them was at a funeral over a decade ago. Plus, they're 3 states away. The best option I have right now is getting a job that makes enough for me to rent a room. I've been looking, but it hasn't been easy. It's difficult to get an actual full-time job at my age during the summer, since I live in a college town in an area everyone assumes I'll quit right before the college semester starts, even if I tell them otherwise. Of course, I'm going to keep trying. Until I get enough for consistent rent, I'll need to couch surf. I'll be fine. I have a couple of friends who've offered to let me stay at their places before I even asked. I'll make sure to not overstay my welcome before going to my next friend's house. I haven't told Junior yet, but I'm sure he'll be happy to have his apartment back to himself and teenager-free at his very old, nearly 30 age. What? You know who else has an old, very old age?
Henry.
Your boyfriend, who's his father.
But that was sarcastic. It was like
okay,
old,
yeah.
very old. Come on.
I guess,
fell
yeah.
for it.
I fell. You got me, OP. Henry has been calling and texting me, and the most I've done is respond to some of the texts, but I've been declining 99% of his calls for now. The extra 1% was when his text got pretty desperate. I don't have any plans on going back to his place right now, but he's been consistently offering to pay for me to attend our local and pretty big college. I know he can afford it, and I'm not saying I would go for it. I'm just saying it'd be pretty easy to stick it out for another 4 years for that amount of money and then ditch him a couple 10,000s poorer. Ooh, no, I'm going to tell you right now, that's a terrible, terrible idea.
That gives him 4 more years to like get his claws into you even more.
Yeah, to sink the hooks in.
There we go.
Yeah, it's like, this just doesn't, you want to get out of the situation. 4 years is a long time. So I'm almost sure that relationship's over and through. Thank you all for your help. I needed to get hit over the head with some common sense. I hope you're all happy and well. And we have a third update. We're going to get right into it. So you guys were right. Junior looked at me as if I was insane when I apologized for being a burden and promised I'd start looking for another place to live. He said if I felt uncomfortable in any way, I'd be free to go. Otherwise, he doesn't mind having me around.
Oh, nice.
That's nice.
That's
yeah,
good.
Junior's like, you can stay here.
Oh, wow.
Amazing.
I like that Junior was the villain at first, but he was actually a hero in disguise.
Yeah, he was maybe OP was feeling like some of this. OP was getting some misdirected energy and feelings from Junior. I told him I didn't like being a freeloader, but that I do like it there. I didn't say this to him, but I didn't remember ever feeling that at ease anywhere else. He told me if it was a thing about freeloading, I could pay him rent by helping with some chores and starting community college. While I agreed to those terms, that sounded crazy easy, and I told him I was looking for a job that I could pay rent with once I had enough money. Chris heard about my job search and helped me get a job. He had some friends at an animal daycare that needed extra staff. All I have to do on my shift is take care of dogs and pet dogs and play with dogs. I literally can't think of a better job I could have gotten right now. It sounds like an amazing job, honestly.
And you probably needed that too.
Yeah. Just pure dopamine from your job constantly. Yeah. It wasn't full time, but eventually I made enough to give a small bit of rent to Junior. He looked at me dead in the eyes and handed it back, saying it was payment for the housework. That pissed me off. This went on for 2 weeks, and I gave up. The best I can do is pay for groceries sometimes and stay on track for community college. I feel like I'm definitely doing some type of scamming, but at this point, Junior deserves it. I tried. Dude, this guy's mentality is like freaking me out. Junior is doing you a huge solid. He likes you. You've done nothing wrong. He's opened his home to you. You're not scamming anybody.
I think he has a sense of rejection or feeling of not being wanted. So that's why he is putting himself down so much.
OP?
OP is.
Yeah.
Because he's like, okay, like, you know, if you've been rejected before, you're going to try and do whatever you can to reject the person first so then you don't get to hear a no and be rejected again and feel that pain again.
Mm.
So he's probably trying to do that, but Junior and Chris's unconditional love in this scenario is not letting them have it. And it's
Yeah.
like, dude, you're fine. Just help out around the house.
Relax,
You gotta get back up on your feet. Everyone
Yeah.
does. You're fine.
Just take out the trash.
Yeah, just
You're
take- come on.
19. You can go to college, and I'm sorry my dad dated you.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe it's kind of that too. The obligation of like, man, my dad almost ruined this guy's life. Let me
Yeah.
try to get him on track a little bit here.
Yeah, let him. Yeah, good, dude.
We did what user Floomby suggested. Port your current number to a burner phone, change the number on your current phone, give the burner phone to Junior, and ask him to hide it somewhere you will never find it. Let Junior monitor it in case Henry is planning something weird. Luckily, my phone is one of the few things Henry didn't pay for, and my dad still pays for my phone. He's made no move of stopping. I'm not sure if that's from guilt or what, but he's fine with it. There's some news for Henry. Apparently, he's been asking my friends where I am, and they never thought about telling me about it. I never thought he'd go that far now since I heard he has a new boyfriend, but here we are. A good bit of my friends are fine with us splitting, but some have varying views on it. A couple of them have tried to convince me that Henry at least deserves an in-person explanation and breakup. Pretty much all of them that I didn't know before Henry have been talking that way. Yeah, because they're more Henry's friends than yours.
Yeah. You broke Henry's heart. You have to explain it.
No, you don't. Yes, get out of there. One of them, Jack, 24 male, short for Jack Glass, told Henry where I was after Henry asked him again. The Lion, the Witch, and the audacity of that switch. Henry showed up unannounced last week. We just finished taking groceries in, so the door was still unlocked, and I don't really know what happened after that. Junior told me to go wait in my room and that everything would be fine. At that point, I was too shocked and wanted to disassociate from the situation, so I put my earbuds in and started watching YouTube with the door closed. From what I could hear, they were arguing, but it was all muffled for me. Sorry, Reddit, I can't give you the drama on that conversation. I have failed you. I didn't really realize Henry left until Junior's girlfriend, Sarah, 28 female, showed up with takeout. Over dinner, she said Junior was out somewhere finishing the conversation with Henry out in public. Junior came back a bit later and promised that Henry wouldn't be back. Cryptic as all get out, but he probably just threatened him with the cops. Probably. Which is, what was he threatening? How could you threaten the cops?
Hey, if you come here again, I will get a restraining order.
There you go. That's how you do that. I was nervous the following 2 days and found myself borderline insane with checking the peephole, the windows, and locks on the windows and doors. I think Junior and Sarah noticed because Sarah offered for me to hang out at her place, like a place Henry doesn't know the address to, while our place was empty. I've been doing that, and it's nice. I hope her relationship with Junior continues to work because I really like her dog. This guy, I just can't get a beat on OP's like emotional core.
Yeah.
I can't do it. It's like these people are like bringing him in and being like, oh yeah, you don't feel safe here? You can live at my place. And he's like, I hope they don't break up because I like her dog.
I think a lot of OP's life have been in shambles, and this
Yeah.
is how they kind of think and function. Dude,
They are 19 as well.
They are
Yeah, so
19,
that's fair.
But I really hope they can find a therapist or something, because it seems like they need some work done.
They need some stability,
yeah,
which I think they could get in this situation. But it does make it really weird that they're related to his like creepy ex-boyfriend.
Yeah. Oh.
If any bridges end up burned, I'll have to break in to pet him, and that's really a hassle. I had no idea how Henry found out where I was until Jack called me this morning to apologize. I don't think I'll be speaking to him again. I haven't told anyone yet, but I will tomorrow, and it stings a bit. I thought we were good friends. And by the way, if we're good friends, I just want to let you know that you can listen to other stories like this one on any of your favorite podcast platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio. Just look up OK Storytime, find us, and you'll have a plethora of stories just like this one.
Just like this one.
Give them a listen. So before we finish this story, we've kind of sprinkled in our takes throughout.
Yep.
I think we're kind of at a place where really the only thing I would like to see is OP sort of waking up and realizing, oh my God, like these people actually, they're people that care about me and want to do right by me instead of, I don't know, kind of, I feel like OP's operating a little selfishly or a little, maybe not selfish, but just like thoughtlessly. Like OP needs to be a little more thoughtful about what the other people around him are doing. Instead of just being like, well, I don't know, I guess they deserve it. They deserve to be scammed. It's like, no. These are people who just like want to see you do well.
Yeah.
Like,
and please get a therapist, OP.
yes.
Please.
And you're 19, very young, so young, 19. God, I was so stupid when I was 19. Chris talked me into doing some online therapy about a month and a half ago.
Let's go.
Wow. Hey,
All
well,
right.
look at that.
Dreams come true.
It's been good. He says it's free because of some charity, but I'm calling BS. He's definitely paying. I'll just have to work harder to get my life on track to make sure his And that is the end of that story.
OP, you deserve to be loved.
Yeah, I feel like maybe OP is getting that from his own upbringing and his own household, because I know he said that stuff with his dad's really not good.
Mm-hmm.
So I bet growing up, his dad always made it out where it's like nothing's given, everything's earned. Like you have to pay for it, pay your way.
Your love is conditional.
Right, exactly. So now he's like in an environment where people are just like, no, I just want to help you. He's like, yeah, but do you really?
Yeah.
I mean, I'll pay you, stupid. And he's like, you literally don't have to. You're 19.
Yeah.
And you have no job. Like,
Dang, dude, that really turned around. That was so nice.
yeah, that's a good story. That's good. And I mean, you can't say never, but I would say the overwhelming majority of the time, if you have an age gap that large, really examine that relationship. Especially if you're that young, you might not be able to see the red flags that others would be able to pick up immediately.
We took in a troubled teen, but now his room is an absolute disaster.
It just sounds like a normal teen to me. I don't know.
6 months ago, a family in my wife's 30 female and my 30 male church was leaving the state. Their son, 18 male, who we'll call Fred, was very against the change and pushed against his family's decision to leave. I've been a mentor to this kid since he was 16. His family left anyway, and believing that the 18-year-olds are adults, left him without the resources to support himself.
Wow, trash.
By the way, this comes from O and GT Techie on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So my wife and I live in a larger house, nearly 4,000 square feet, in a major metropolitan city where we had already put together an incredible suite for guests.
Ooh.
The room includes a bathroom, TV area, furnishing, and a kitchenette. Naturally, we offered this room to Fred. We drafted up a lease for the room with common areas being the home gym, theater, kitchen, dining room, everywhere but our bedroom and offices.
Wow.
Out of the principle, I want him to pay something for rent. But he knew he couldn't afford the typical one-bedroom rent in the area, $1,800 plus, so rent was set at $200. Fred works 1 day a week at a local grocery store and pays rent relevantly on time. One time, he was 2 months late. Due to his situation, we have become like pseudo-parents to him, teaching him how to use a lawnmower, teaching him how to cook for himself, how to fix his car, and helping him with his resume, to name a few. He is using this period to find himself and is constantly asking for life advice. We enjoy helping him out. About 3 months in, I notice ants near his door. In the process of terminating the ants, I notice his room is incredibly dirty. Food and garbage everywhere. I reminded him of a clause in the lease where waste is forbidden, and after threats of eviction were brought up, I helped him clean his room, with me doing the vast majority of the work. 2 days ago, he left his door open. I could smell spoiling food from the other side of the house. I try to locate the source, and I'm shocked by the state he leaves it in. Food everywhere, with most of the boxes containing half of their original contents. Many of these takeout items purchased weeks prior.
God.
Here's the rub. I'm legally his landlord, but I am paying the role of an uncle or adopted father or something. If I evict, he's homeless and he can't afford anything here. This appears to be a mental health issue. He doesn't apply himself to get a better job, works 1 day a week, no girlfriend/boyfriend, and lives in squalor I've only seen in r/neckbeard's nest.
Wow. Yeah, I gotta say that earlier when I said that it just sounds like a teenager to me, that's not just a normal teenager.
I want him to be happy and healthy, but I also don't want my house to be in jeopardy of pest infestation, horrific smells, and other damage. How can I approach him and resolve this issue? We have an update. I think we already
let's dig into it.
Update. So without further ado, the update is not a good one.
Oh no.
After I posted, I took Fred to a local fair, Earth Day, where we could get junk food and watch some remote control boat racing, look at some plants, and talk. I sat him down and discussed that there needs to be significant changes. I explained that he was damaging my property and it was hurting me emotionally to watch him suffer in clutter and filth. I told him that within the next 2 weeks, he needs to seek out a therapist to talk to. Due to his perceived paranoia about his mom and dad learning what he tells the therapist, I explained to him that the therapist would not legally be able to discuss anything with me, his parents, or anyone on earth. Furthermore, I told him that if he does this, I would be willing to completely waive rent. Fred agreed to seek therapy. 3 days later, he got into a car crash while texting and driving.
Oh, no. He was about to be on the upswing, and now, that's why you don't text and drive.
He just needs to hit rock bottom, sadly, for him to kind of
he hit something.
Luckily, no one was hurt. Fred's car, however, was not as fortunate.
Oh, thank God no one was hurt. And I just want to say that it sounds like that OP has gone about this the perfect way.
The best way he can.
In terms of how to approach that. And now all that's left is if he's going to reciprocate.
Initially, I thought this may be good for him. He was working 1 day per week at a large chain grocery store that was located 1.5 hours away from the house.
Why would you do that?
Fred showed zero initiative to transfer stores, so I thought this would force him to get a local job. I also thought, without the car, he can focus on himself. This thesis would be proven to be incorrect.
I like the scientific lingo there. Because this Fred is probably growing science experiments in his room.
He is taking these people and not grateful. He's taking everything for granted.
I think that's true, but also we got to consider this guy's gone through like a lot of trauma from his own family, probably.
Probably, yeah.
And
they left him behind.
This definitely is a result of like unresolved mental health issues and like abandonment and neglect. Like, can you imagine? He got home alone.
Yeah.
His his family just like up and moved and gave him nothing, did nothing for him, and was just like, "You're 18." That would mess me up, dude.
True. Ugh. 3 weeks pass and the situation has gotten far worse. He doesn't leave his room. He hasn't gotten a therapist, no job, and he has stopped bathing. He only leaves the house to pick up fast food, where he will sit in the store for hours simply watching people. There was a noticeable smell beginning to emanate from that wing of the house. To address this with him and further assess what I can do for him, I invite him out to lunch. As we get into my car to drive to lunch, Fred informs me that he has to go clean out his totaled vehicle within the next 2 hours or they are sending it to the scrapyard. I learned that the shop has been threatening this for the past week, but Fred didn't think that the repair shop was serious and stopped taking their calls. This guy's just not getting it.
Fred's got a lot to learn, that's for sure.
We change course and get to the repair shop, and I drop him off near his car to let him gather his belongings. I spend about 30 minutes looking at the new car offerings, text him to see if he needs help. No, I'm almost done. I walk back to my car, watch a documentary for another half hour, and text him again, almost done. I turn on another YouTube documentary. It concludes, and I text him again. You can pull around so we can load the trunk. I pull into the repair parking lot and do not immediately see him by his car. I park only to find a group of mechanics talking with each other. I asked to see if they've seen Fred. They pointed over to the curb where Fred was in a fetal position, sobbing hysterically. I asked Fred if he was okay, thinking he was hurt. No response. I asked Fred if he needed help. He asked me to move his belongings from his car to mine. What I found in his car was shocking. Food debris, half-eaten chicken nuggets, drinks, burgers, and other fast food items piled in his car to an extent that showed me how exactly severe the situation inside of his head is. The food was piled from floor to the seats in the passenger seat and in the rear seats SUV. The mess continued to the trunk. The smell is what I imagine heck to be like. Remember these food items, most of which months old, and now have been baking in a car under the May, Florida sun.
So I'm going to go ahead and say executive decision here. Everything in that car is going to the scrapyard.
I dug through the filth to find his belongings, clothes, a toolbox, anime corn, and the like. He was still in hysterics.
Yeah, I think that the important thing here is not the stuff in his car. You need to be like you're having a full-blown breakdown on the curb. Like, let's get you somewhere. Forget what's in the car. It's not important.
Yeah.
Whatever's in there is clearly not important. It's underneath a mountain of fast food trash.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter.
Dude,
we're just getting you out of here.
This breaks my heart to see.
It does.
You can tell that his growing up with his family was not like good at all. And this mentor is trying to be as much be as much emotional support as he can, but he can only do so much.
Yeah.
He's already given him a lot. I think that every kid should grow up going to the sawmill and working hard so they can become a great person. That's what I believe.
There is something to hard work, working a job that is hard, that instills character in a way that like few things can, like in a way that's like guaranteed almost.
After gathering what I could find, I asked him to double check my work. Then he approached me at the front of the car and took off one of the windshield wipers to remember the car. Fred then asked me to get him his socket wrench set that he could take the spare tire. I put my foot down, explaining that the spare probably won't fit his next car and that I would not allow a tire to be stored in my house. He sobbed more. I called my wife so that she could confirm that I wasn't being an a-hole, which she did, and I told him it was time to leave. We left and went to lunch in silence after the 4-hour ordeal.
It's like taking the spare tire and the windshield wiper to remember the car.
Yeah.
You can just remember the car. I remember every car I ever had.
Yeah. After picking up food and returning home, I sat Fred down and explained that he isn't healthy. He hasn't found a job. He hasn't sought out therapy as he agreed to. Even after I found a therapist for him and sent him the intake forms 2 weeks prior, and that I suspect his room is in the same disarray as his car. He denied this. I informed him that I would be inspecting his room in 48 hours per the lease. What I found in Fred's room was horrifying. It was, as I suspected, trashed. Food containers piled over his bed. A small path he could get to the door. I told him he has a week to clean it up, as well as a drafted up formal notice of the situation. Fred did not clean his room within the week, and I informed him that I will be reaching out to his parents and evicting him if he did not move out by the end of the month, May. He cried in response. His parents were shocked. I put quotes around this because I failed to believe they were not aware of his mental health and tendencies prior to leaving Fred to live here, especially when the issues are so substantial. As his father was coming down, Fred ran away. He took an Uber and was missing for 24 hours. Fred eventually came home 2 hours prior to his father's arrival, and as anticipated, his room was barely packed. So his father and I cleaned out his room. As it turned out, I was only seeing about half of the debris in his room. His dresser, nightstand, under the bed, the closet, all were packed with food.
Oh my God.
God.
I wonder if this is why did the parents leave him because he was doing this?
We don't know. We
Oh,
don't know.
I'm
I think
sorry,
they were also like shocked. They were like, "What? I will never eat Popeye's chicken ever again." The 4-month-old barely consumed chicken bucket in the dresser is too much of an experience for me to handle. There were 2-liter bottles of urine.
Oh my God.
Whenever I was in RA, they said if you ever see like your urine in bottles, you need to inform someone immediately because that's signs of mental health issues and like potential SA.
Yeah.
Or not SA, potential S.
Yes.
Yeah.
SH.
SH.
Yeah.
My wife had purchased Vieira Bradley towels for the bathroom he was using. I didn't have the heart to tell her that a few were just thrown away as they were covered in biological waste. The carpet, new to the room, crunched under the feet and was covered in pizza topping, sauce, and similar drippings. His father cried through the process. I puked twice. Fred frantically packed his belongings, including had a secretive box he didn't want us to touch or lift, to a van. A mystery I will never know the answer to.
Okay, well, at least there's a little bit of humor there, I guess. He's got his secret. Don't touch that box. No. It's like, that's the thing you're worried about. You're not more ashamed of, like, you know, the 4-month-old bucket of chicken inside of your dresser.
Or like that your carpet floor is now just pizza toppings.
This is somebody who, like, needs or they're going to be destitute.
Yeah.
He won't be able to live anywhere. He's going to be homeless. He can't take care of himself. Like, he needs help. He needs
so much help.
intervention.
Yeah. And OP, time and time again, has given it to him, but Fred is not doing it. He's not doing it for himself. So there's nothing you can do there.
And at this point, like, I think OP can't do anything. The family needs to take care of their child.
Eviction was successful. I offered to pay for his college if Fred begins therapy. His parents kicked him out soon after he returned home, and he is living alone in a trailer in rural Ohio woods that his parents bought for him.
See, again, you know what? Right there, that's his parents failing him. That is not going to help him. That is going to make everything worse.
College started a few weeks ago, and I didn't have to pay as he still has not attended therapy. But you can pay us a visit on every podcast platform that you listen to. Just search up OK Storytime via Spotify, Apple Podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts, because we're there with stories not as house hoardery as this.
Yeah, no, this is one of the most, like, gross sort of hoarder stories.
Yeah,
we don't, they're not usually this gross, but we do have a plethora of stories for you.
Yeah, so come and check it out. But
this is on the grosser side for sure.
I almost gagged twice. Parents failed him.
Yeah.
I still think this is on Fred. He should at least have some sense of accountability to make himself a better person, but he's just denying it.
I think it's just mental health crisis. I mean, I agree with that sentiment. It's like, at the end of the day, it is up to Fred to make active changes in his life, but there's something preventing him from doing it.
Yeah.
Like, it'd be like if it's like, yeah, I have to work. My arms are weak. I need to, like, lift weights. But it's like, if your forearm is broken, it's like, you can't lift weights, even if you need to.
Well,
you gotta fix the arm first, and then you can lift the weight.
But like, if I have the broken arm and working out in this situation is having a better life, I'm gonna go, and my forearm's broken, I'm gonna go to a doctor, a therapist for him, an example, to fix that.
Right.
But I have to take myself to that therapist to fix it.
But
and
see,
he's not taking himself to do it.
True.
I understand that there is something probably blocking him from understanding that, but you still have to take that step in order to do it. He knows what the right thing to do is.
It comes from the parents, dude. I really don't know if he does. I think I think we're missing a lot of context from his upbringing and the parents.
Yeah.
But just given the fact that they, like, after taking him back, right?
Yeah.
The dad's crying, cleaning up his trashed room, brings him back into their home, immediately kicks him out, throws him in a trailer in the woods. That is not going to make him better. They're just, like, out of sight, out of mind. Yeah. So I think he just thinks no one cares about him. So why should he care about himself?
We have since cleaned the room, replaced the bed, and much of the furniture. I totally forgot we were still reading this one. The carpet had to be specially treated and probably would have been better if replaced entirely. Thousands of dollars,
wow.
Emotional trauma, lots of learning, and an absolute repulsion to fast food are my takeaway. He doesn't respond to my texts, and I can only assume that I am now a bad guy in his life story. I really wish him the best, and my heart breaks for him even when I think about this situation. Early this month, we received a misaddressed Amazon package for him, a massive package of sauce concentrate for restaurants.
Oh,
what is that?
So he's ordering, like,
Chick-fil-A sauce?
Like, yeah, but it's like the concentrate. So it's like, it's not the actual sauce. It's like concentrated, so you mix that with more like water to make
It's like
sauce.
Gatorade mix.
It's like he's buying like industrial quantities of sauce. So it's probably, like I said, trailer in the middle of the woods, not a good thing for Fred.
And
Yeah,
I
dang.
know he probably got like super obese during this time.
Oh yeah, I
And, like-
assume he's not in. I assume he's overweight. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and again, I don't know how much of this will make it, or how much of my comments about like sort of, I don't know if it's 5150 or what it's called when it's like a sort of psychiatric intervention, but like you need serious help. Like
Yeah.
very seldom would I say the right thing to do is to force someone to get help.
Yeah.
But like this might be the one time since I've started reading these stories where I would advocate for that.
Yeah.
Because he's just like, I mean, he's essentially like eating himself
Yeah.
to death, or
Yeah.
like
Gluttony.
squalling it, because it's like it's not help, like the mold, the fungus, like who knows what's growing in that trailer right now, and it's like he's just languishing, and his parents don't seem to care, which is insane.
My friends are cruel, so I got them evicted.
Ooh, that sounds very cruel intentions.
Even crueler. I, 24 female, met 2 people I now call cancer, 32 female, and tumor, 42
Okay.
male.
let's-
hold on. We gotta change these names.
Let's make it Kate and Trent.
Kate and Trent.
Cool.
They suck. So back in December of 2019, shortly before I turned 19. Okay, so there was a big age gap with all those people there. No relationship like that, but anyways. At the time, I was just adjusting to life after aging out of the foster system and caring for the elderly man who had been my guardian and father figure. It was a tough period, but I had a small group of supportive friends who helped me through it. One invited me to meet new people, thinking we'd all get along. That's how Kate and Trevor, what did we say?
Trent.
That's how Kate and Trent entered my life. By the way, this comes from the one Maria on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So that friend is gone to me now, and I ended up spending most of my free time with Kate and Trent. I was desperate to escape the harsh reality of watching my father's health decline, so I ignored the constant yelling and toxic atmosphere in their household. Looking back, I can't imagine how their son endured their tirades. At the time, they were embroiled in an ongoing dispute with their neighbors, channeling their anger and blame outward. When my father passed away in February of 2020, their chaos left no room for my grief. Their neighbor drama escalated as I tried to manage my father's estate. One day, a lit candle was thrown through their window, narrowly missing me in the kitchen. So someone threw a lit candle in their house with the beef they got going on with the neighbors.
What
like
a weird thing to be throwing.
They're like it's close to a Molotov, right?
Jeez.
It's
They'll do something.
Now, around that time, they started discussing needing a new place to live. Feeling obligated to help, I arranged for their Section 8 housing voucher to transfer so they could move into my home, which I had been planning to rent. Any gratitude they showed was short-lived. They quickly made themselves at home, and that is when Kate's true nature fully revealed itself.
oh no.
You see, for over a year, they trampled every boundary I set. They constantly avoided paying rent on time, or sometimes not at all, caused damage to the property, and frequently broke items. I began to see just how manipulative and vindictive Kate in particular could be, and Trent as her enabler. She thrived off of triangulating friendships, hiding her true nature when it suited her, destroying the individuality of anyone she viewed as a threat, and using every situation to her advantage. If she couldn't get what she wanted through coercion, she made sure you suffered for it. Well, by the time I realized how deeply they were impacted by my mental and physical health, I had already lost significant weight, dropping from 120 pounds to 98 pounds, and was at risk of sudden heart failure. I had to start to plan an eviction then, but I felt a false sense of obligation towards their son, and I couldn't bring myself to be another source of displacement for him. I finally I fled my own home, taking only the essentials and pretending the move was temporary to avoid triggering Kate's vindictive streak. Even then, they found ways to harass me. After putting distance between us, the stalks and the threats began. Kate tracked me online and was harassing my friends and even threatened me with deportation despite my status as a U.S. citizen born abroad. Oh, my God. And they're racist and xenophobic, too.
The unholy trinity.
Haha. She bragged about having people who would track me in real time and threatened to destroy the belongings I had left behind. It became clear that Kate and Trent would never change. That's when I decided I wouldn't just escape. I would ensure they faced the consequences of their own actions, the stupid prizes they won for their stupid games. With therapy and the support of my loved ones, I regained perspective, confidence, and a hunger for justice.
I became a lawyer. Is that no? Wait, never mind. That's not what's happening.
I started planning how to completely remove them from my life and eliminate the safety net they had taken advantage of. I sold the house to a tough real estate investor, making the transition seamless so Kate and Trent wouldn't suspect too much. Quietly, I handed the investor all the insights I had gathered on them, their behavior, their tactics, and their character.
I gave the real estate investor my CIA profile that I had built on these people's personalities.
The classified documents have become unclassified. And I strongly advised against keeping them as tenants despite their Section 8 income. I asked only to spare their son as he would be graduating soon. I knew their patterns well enough to trust they would dig their own grave. From there, I cut off all direct communication, deactivated my phone number, left social media, and focused on rebuilding my life. Over time, I landed a better job, improved my self-image, and I found peace. As I regained my health and stability, I kept tabs on the situation from a distance. As expected, I later found out they continued the same behavior, missing rent, causing drama, and treating their living space like a garbage dump. Recently, I found out that Trent's son had moved out, which led to a reduction in their government benefits. This change added extra financial strain to a household that was already struggling. Things were finally starting to begin. Frustrated with their behavior, the investor has discreetly made plans to evict them by early 2025, which is where we're at right now.
Yeah.
For those unfamiliar, eviction from Section 8 housing often involves in losing the voucher, making them ineligible for future government assistance. They have the right to appeal, but given the evidence against them, a favorable reconsideration is highly unlikely. Their official eviction date is set for January 2nd, 2025. And with that, they'll lose their home and their ability to secure future subsidized housing. I want to feel bad that they're losing their home and their safety and just about everything else, but I can't. This is everything that I had hoped for, and it makes me so happy that it's happening during the holidays. Whoa.
Damn.
So, am I the a-hole? We have the update we were just talking about. Dakota.
I don't know, dude. You might be now. With
Yeah.
that last sentence?
You were literally the last half of the sentence. We were doing so good. She's like, you know what? Fair. They've been a monstrosity. Then like, happy I'm evicting him during the holidays. And we're going to get into this update. So, hello, everyone. Let me start by saying thank you to everyone who shared their thoughts. I did not expect to receive this amount of engagement. I have noticed that a few commenters were speaking on things they feel didn't make sense, so I'll add that to clarify here. Kate. Kate is not the biological mother of Trent's son. She officially married into the role after Trent's separation from his ex-wife. 2, the person who took over managing Kate and Trent as tenants on behalf of the investor was the same person who helped me oversee them. So they kept like the same like property manager essentially.
Yeah.
They are a longtime friend of my late father and a mother figure to me. They were just one of the few people who would give me tidbits of information now and then, but undoubtedly the most important as they played an active role in executing the eviction. Even though I deactivated my social media, I wasn't entirely unreachable. I just made it impossible for them. Some extremely unexpected sources eventually reached out to me as I wasn't the only one who decided to separate from them. And this happened during the pandemic. Statewide moratoriums stayed in effect until July of 2022. Wow. By then, I had been moved out of the house for about a year and had almost finished selling it to the investor before cutting them off entirely in the new year of 2023. They haven't seen or heard from me since. Grace informed me today that Kate and Trent received their eviction notice on December 27th. However, an error stemming from the Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, caused the official date of their eviction to be pushed back by a couple of weeks. Don't you hate bureaucracy? Secondly, because of their volatile nature, the approach was altered. The update plan was to move them first before filing the formal complaint. I don't know how that's even possible. The priority was to ensure they moved out of the house as peacefully as possible, minimizing the risk of retaliation or damage the news of having their voucher jeopardized would inevitably bring. For context, Kate's frenzies in particular fluctuated based on the intensity of the perceived threat. I witnessed her throw tantrums over something as trivial as self-induced envy. I've been a victim of her having someone monitor my previous living situation because I asked a question of the person she didn't want me talking to. She once brought the police. How can we forget our friends, the police? Not really.
Friends, the police.
Not really. She once brought the police to my door over convincing someone I had threatened their child and went so far as to obtain the address of the place I wanted to move to after I cut them off just to have it as leverage. Trent, though generally more predictable, has also made threats, some of which occurred in Grace's presence, mainly driven by his fear of losing his home. Grace informed me that a thorough investigation will be conducted after they move out of the house and the complaint will be filed. Any substantial evidence of property damage or misuse will be included. Grace is already working with their caseworker to complete this complaint. The Housing Authority, HA, will investigate the matter by reviewing the lease agreement, interactions with the landlord, and any potential violations of Section 8 program rules. Based on the results of their research, they will deliberate on whether to terminate their Section 8 voucher, ergo their housing supplemented income. Grace expressed her disappointment with how things had to change as we both wanted to address it quickly. It's hard not to feel uneasy about the situation, how the situation will develop in the coming weeks. Grace was fully aware of their unpredictable behavior, and despite years of no contact and disappearance from Kate's online presence, her relentless efforts to gain access to my life have not stopped. In August of last year, someone else was manipulated by Kate, who had recently ended their relationship with her and approached me. We connected and uncovered the truth behind the lies Kate had created to keep us divided. You see, she revealed that since my separation, Kate often ranted privately about her fear of me reclaiming the house, demonized me as the source of all her problems, and grew increasingly obsessed over my whereabouts and became even more delusional about my supposed actions, none of which were true. Given their tendency to retaliate when cornered, I'm bracing myself out of habit for the drama. They'll create another one once the shoe drops. They're upset enough about being forced to leave the house they once claimed they'd buy from me. By the way, if you ever feel like you're in a corner, the best way out of that situation is by listening to full episodes of stories just like this. You can go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or where your favorite place to listen to podcasts. Just search OK Storytime. It's going to be right there.
There it is.
You can follow it. You can listen to all 1,900 of our episodes, and it's going to be great times. Do we have any predictions and advice for OP?
So I think predictions is it's just going to continue to become more of a crap storm. It's just going to continue. Like I think my advice would be, and I think some people in the comments even said, I think we actually even like kind of discussed it, where it's like, when do you just like let it go?
Yeah.
I think once you've
Elsa.
sold the building, you just let it go. Let it go. And because these people being a presence in your life in any way is a detriment to you, clearly.
This is true. She did say that when she did get back in touch with Grace, the property manager, that she's like, oh, I'm hearing stirrings of her getting like her paranoia is growing. So one could argue for her own safety, I feel like we got to, how far away did OP move? That's my question.
That is an important
Yeah, like how
factor.
how far away? I think OP's already gone no contact, but Emma Wilkins says OP needs a restraining order on them.
Yeah, true. Get the law involved.
Yeah. Maybe we just do our final dotting of I's and crossing of T's to like, get the restraining order and all that stuff, and then we leave it alone because at least at that point we know there's repercussions if they come back.
But it's like all of this is now coming from because they feel like you went out of your way to try to get them evicted, right? I mean,
Yeah,
that's where this is coming from. So if you had just let what was probably going to naturally happen anyway just happen, then none of this would be happening right now, because they'd be evicted and they wouldn't be able to be like, this is your fault. But
I agree. It is tempting even for your own. I think like silently get the restraining order and stuff on the side and just absolutely zero. Even Grace, unfortunately, just to like, or like at least talking with Grace about them, just like, spiritually remove yourself.
Yeah,
like don't even think about them anymore.
Just hit them with those people might be a problem, and then leave.
Yeah. I think I'm on board with this plan.
Because real G's move in silence like lasagna.
Ooh. The inspection and complaint filing are just the beginning of a long and uncertain process. Only time will reveal how the housing authority will proceed with their investigation and what consequences may follow. On a personal note, though, I've managed to keep my distance from Kate. My social media deactivation was always meant to be temporary. It was a decision born from a need for healing and space, but I refused to let her control my presence. I'm now focused on rebuilding the community I had before I stepped away, from stronger and more resilient than before. I'm ready to start fresh and confront whatever may come my way. Should she try to disrupt my life again, the road ahead may be difficult, but I'm ready.
That's all you can be.
And I can't be too mad at that.
That's the best thing you can be.
It's the best thing you can.
Is ready. You got to stay ready.
Stay ready.
Stay ready out there, folks.
My mother-in-law invited herself over for a sleepover and is furious that we said no.
What are we, 13? We're doing slumber parties?
You don't have time for a slumber party. You're adults.
Yeah, I got taxes to do.
I, 27 female, and my husband, 31 male, have been friends for 9 years, dated for 4 years, and married for 2, going on 3 years now. We both did not have the best upbringing as children and have always prided ourselves on building a healthy relationship and home life for one another. By the way, this comes from Scary Rip 1723 on the OK Storytime subreddit. So when we started dating, my husband and I started to spend a lot of our time with my mother-in-law and her husband. Every weekend, and yes, I mean every weekend, with the exception of a small handful, we spent at her home, including every Christmas, Thanksgiving, Mother's and Father's Day, and birthdays. Hers, her husband's, my husband's, and mine. I have never been bothered by this, as I was not very close with any of my family at the start of our dating and quite enjoyed the feeling of being a part of a family unit. This evolved into spending each Friday through Sunday overnight at her house. At the time, I thought we were forming meaningful memories. As time passed, I started to miss out on other things though, such as hanging out with my best friend and sister the rare times that they were free, and eventually checking in on my disabled mom before she moved out of state. Fast forward to when we got married, we had a simple courthouse wedding and held what was our reception in my mother-in-law's large backyard, as she and my husband requested. The few friends I invited and my parents, along with my sister, were present, among a great many other people my husband and my mother-in-law invited. It was a great day. However, we ended up staying fairly late at my mother-in-law's that we ended up pushing back the start of our honeymoon to the next day. Once we got to our hotel, we were so taken in by the room that we wanted to send videos of it to a couple people, including our mother-in-law. This prompted her to ask if she and her husband could come by to see the room and use our hotel reservation as means to utilize the pool that our hotel had on their honeymoon?
How are you going to invite yourself to someone's honeymoon?
On their honeymoon? Why do you even want to be on their honeymoon?
Yeah.
They're gonna be having the spicy sleep.
They're like, I just want to make sure. I just want to make sure they're doing it right.
Within an hour, she and her husband came into the room and immediately started browsing around until she went into the bathroom and found my wash bag that she proceeded to open up and start digging through. I unintentionally walked in on her and she immediately stopped what she was doing to ask if the bag was mine, to which I told her yes, then calmly walked over to zip it back up. They then asked for our room card hard to get into the pool and asked for us to meet them down there. We eventually met them down at the pool sometime later, and they got tired, so they decided to leave and give us some time to enjoy the one night we had in our hotel. For the short time we had it, it was great, but it did involve 1 to 2 more phone calls from my mother-in-law before our checkout the following day. Shortly into our marriage, we decided to help out a friend by moving them in. This was a horrible decision, as it turned into 2 long years of caring for this friend financially, emotionally, and mentally 24/7. This decision really put a strain on my husband and I due to the lack of time on weekends spent at my mother-in-law's and a lack of time every other moment during the week at home. This prompted us to make the decision to move. We had previously lost a pregnancy during the last year we spent with the roommate, so we decided wherever we did move, it would have to be safe, have plenty of space, and have a good school district for the family we wanted to start trying for again. We stumbled upon a beautiful 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. The only catch was it was 1.5 hours away from our current city, our friends, and you guessed it, my mother-in-law. Move. Go there immediately.
This person needs no consideration in terms of an hour and a half is not so far away that it is now inconceivable to see somebody.
But I think you need that hour and a half to get away from your mom.
Yeah.
Or your mother-in-law.
Yes, exactly. If she tries to say like, this is too far, it's like, it's literally like shorter than every movie you've ever watched.
Yeah. I drive an hour and a half frequently in LA.
That is 1.5 episodes of a television show.
You'll be fine. After a month of debating and reasoning, we decided to take a chance before the house was gone. Finally, we come to the present. My husband and I have been in our new home since June 2024. We got pregnant in August. During the first 2 months here, we did not get a single weekend to enjoy each other or the home, as we had to host my mother-in-law, or drive the hour and a half out to her to keep things happy, as she did not approve of our decision at all. In fact, she fought our decision leading up to the move and even went as far to say she was going through withdrawals from us not being close by anymore by the first month we were here. When I got pregnant, she was the first person to know and has since been more happy and tolerant of our move out here. However, within the last month, she left her husband and moved out of her house. Whoa! This has made her not only act more erratic, but it has made her more entitled to our time and home. We had recently planned to go see my disabled mom out of state for Thanksgiving. Considering this holiday his family no longer had any plans because they went through a divorce, and we had never spent a holiday with any family of mine. We had asked my mother-in-law if she could watch the dogs so that they didn't have to be in the car for 13 hours there and back within a matter of a couple days, especially because one dog is 15 and a half years old, wow, and the other is 2 years old with severe car anxiety. Because she was no longer in her husband's house, we offered our home up for her to stay during our trip to do so. A win-win for everyone. Or so we thought.
I bet there's no way that she overstays her welcome.
Never. This mother? No way. She then decided to invite herself over the weekend before our trip to Sleepover, as that way she could discuss how we wanted her to watch the dogs. My husband and I, after having many conversations over the last year about setting healthy boundaries with her, decided that now would be the time to exercise that for the first time. She called him stating, "My bag is packed for this weekend and I'm all ready to stay the night." He politely responded telling her, "We're actually really busy this weekend preparing for the trip. It would really work better if we just hung out for the day tomorrow. I don't think we'll have much time or energy for a sleepover."
All right, so
big moment for this guy.
how is the mom going to respond
She's gonna
here?
say, "How dare you? I'm having withdrawals. I'm going to the hospital. I'm having a heart attack because you don't love me. You're trying to kick me out of your life." This brought out her usual reaction the few times he has ever told her no. She runs to guilt trip him with backhanded comments like, "I guess I'm not that important, but I'm doing you a favor," etc. Except this time it was more extreme, resulting in her flying off the handle, sobbing, and proceeding to hang up on him. This time it really upset him. My husband is very close with his mom. That's pretty evident.
Well, I think that your husband is close to his mom because she's developed a like toxic, codependent, guilt trip relationship with him.
I think your husband is close to his mom because he's one of those backpack kids and she's got a leash on him. So when it is strained or she treats him in a negative way, he takes it very personally. He spent a portion of the night crying and questioning himself on if what he said was genuinely wrong. This is when I got upset. I never, ever interject myself into conflict, particularly when it is with my in-laws, as I have always viewed it as not my place. but I was reminded of a recent talk I had with my husband in which he told me that I should start being able to voice my discomforts and concerns to his family when they arise, as they have only ever provided me a safe space to be able to talk. At the time, it was something that made sense and we both believed. So I thought maybe it was a good time to exercise his suggestion, especially considering he just exercised mine by trying to set a boundary with his mom by saying no. So I messaged her saying that I was aware that it may not be my place, but I care deeply for her son and to see him hurt is upsetting, particularly in the rare case that he doesn't do what she wants because she always jumps to making him feel bad. I reminded her that he's a grown man and is not only allowed to say no, but shouldn't have to explain why. I also reminded her that with having a baby on the way, if we want some time, just the two of us, as that has been rare, that is also not wrong from him or I to want. Lastly, I suggested that she speak to him more calmly and apologize. This deeply upset her. She began lashing out on me and trying to play the victim. Are you aware of how you're treating me? You know I'm trying to do you a favor right now and I don't have to. I didn't realize my wanting to spend time with you guys wasn't what you both wanted. I immediately became the target. She began blowing up my phone, then my husband's. He ignored her, and I responded to her one last time saying I wasn't treating her in any poor manner. I was simply telling her she hurt his feelings and needs to respect his option to say no when he wants to. She sent a slew of other texts to me, each getting more short-fused and manipulative, so I stopped responding.
This just feels like trademark, like weaponized affection.
Oh, yeah. She's like, well, one, she's saying, oh, I'm your mother. You got to treat your mother like this. And then she's saying, oh, well, I'm watching your dog. So that gives me literally free range, like to do whatever, or free reign to do whatever I want to do.
I hate when people do that, where it's like, by the way, I'm doing you a favor, which I don't have to do. It's like, yeah, stupid. That's how favors work.
That's how favors
you
work.
do them because you're doing a favor.
10 minutes pass, then my sister-in-law, whom never speaks to me and hardly knows me, messages me on Facebook. Why are you being mean to my mom? You better check yourself before I check you. I don't care that you're pregnant.
Oh my God.
It's always about what you want. You control my brother, his money, and you moved him out to the middle of nowhere, an hour and a half away. You're so weird. You don't even work. You probably effed around with his best friend while he lived with you guys anyway. I think you kind of have to cut these people off.
I don't think you need them as a presence in your life, especially
when you're about to have a baby,
being pregnant, trying to start a van. It's like, you don't want these people around your kid.
Yeah, to think
I wouldn't want them around mine.
They have, say over how you parent, what you do with your kid. I feel like they're just gonna take every inch that they can get. My mother-in-law had called my sister-in-law, who lives all the way on the other side of the country, to explode and point the finger at me for a bunch of things that aren't even remotely true, but all are things that resemble complaints from my mother-in-law over the years. I have been working at the same job for 3 years, but my mother-in-law doesn't see it as real work because my husband makes more money. This is something she poked at me for the entire time. The accusation I cheated on my husband with our roommate also has stemmed from my mother-in-law's complaints about how the roommate and I were too close. She usually accused our roommate of having a crush on me. That accusation in particular was hurtful because I not only had seen what cheating did to my parents' marriage growing up, I had been cheated on in a previous engagement and it broke me. I have never, nor will I ever be the type to do something that I view as heartless to someone I care so deeply for. I'd also like to throw out there that my husband works from home, so he was there 24/7. There would have been no possible way for me to cheat, even if I wanted to. Also, when we told my mother-in-law that we were pregnant, we told her numerous times, do not tell anyone. This is our news to share. We were very serious about this rule because when we lost the baby the previous year, she had told many people and we had to share the difficult news ourselves that we wouldn't be parents just yet.
Oh my God. I'm cutting her off after that.
I don't understand how your husband has let all of this slide. We wanted to avoid that this time around if things did not shake out okay. We did not yet tell his sister that we were pregnant. My mother-in-law did. This further broke my trust. I had told my sister-in-law that I was not being mean, that I was talking to my mother-in-law in a calm adult manner, but that at this point, with how nasty she was getting, she could think and feel whatever she wanted to about the situation and me. She got even angrier and more volatile. I, at this point, was so upset, I gave my phone to my husband. When he saw what his family, but particularly his sister, had been saying, he lost it. he called his sister screaming, a point which he has never gotten to with anyone in our relationship, saying she had no right to ever speak to me that way. She proceeded to threaten to show up to the home to take care of me. She's insane. She's insane and also lives across the country. Cut her off.
Honestly, maybe like call somebody. I would, if for threatening my pregnant wife, I'd be like, all right, sis, I'm gonna try to ruin your life now.
Yeah, you're done.
Sorry.
Bye.
You've crossed the line.
To which he responded with letting her know he would call the police.
Yes.
And that with this behavior, she will not be allowed around our child once it's born. This whole thing blew up into now a weeks-long fight. I blocked my sister-in-law on everything because aside from the abhorrent action to threaten me while I'm pregnant, my husband has told me plenty about her fabricating stories for her benefit and instigating physical altercations with people for whatever reason she could during her lifetime, usually to the point of landing her in juvie several times before she turned 18. My mother-in-law, however, whom I respected on a deeper level than my own family, decided to carry out her fight with me for about 3 more days. Each message and day getting worse. She accused me of stealing her son away and that I'm responsible for her losing him a second time in her life, and then basically said I was rich for expecting her to feel bad for me over what her daughter said after I attacked her. I tried to reason with her during these 3 days, reminding her several times that it was inappropriate to cause such stress to a high-risk pregnant woman. Like,
Yeah.
at this point, just block her.
Block her and call the police and say that you're being harassed.
Yep. Especially with how long we waited for this baby. She just wanted to keep fighting. So I unfortunately came to the conclusion that I needed to block her. Thank you for taking my advice. For the time being as well. Since then, both my sister-in-law and mother-in-law have dug in to attack my husband as much as they could and have further tried to isolate him from other means of support in his family. He's had to block his sister for her now, fabricating stories about him and saying horrid things about him that I don't care to repeat because they're so bad. He then spent 2 weeks trying to reason with his mom, practically begging her for a phone call so that they may try to sit and have a constructive conversation about her actions and how this all started. She ignored him up until tonight when he said he was no longer going to be the only one working to mend the relationship, and in turn found someone else to manage the baby shower considering the current state of things with her. Currently, you can join us live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST on YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok. Just tap our profile.
Indeed. Well,
your thoughts?
we set a boundary and he put his foot down and he said, I'm not going to be one-sided just trying to fix this.
You got to put in the work.
Yeah.
It is insane to me that this all started because she said, I'm coming to sleep over, and they were like, hey, we're busy that day. And then she proceeded to throw a fit, a huge freaking tantrum, got her daughter involved, who then threatened OP over literally just saying like, hey, we're busy that night.
Yeah. No, it's
These people are crazy. She immediately called him and lost her mind. Same old story of almost a month later. How she is the victim, how I attacked her, how I am a horrible daughter-in-law and wife. Then trying to talk poorly about my disabled mother when he decided not to budge on holding her accountable for this whole thing. She hung up on him again, just like she did the phone call that started this all, and he decided to stop engaging with her entirely until she can calm down a bit. So after that long mouthful, tell me, am I the a-hole? No.
confident no.
No. You're the butterfly in this butterfly effect of a story.
And you know what? Y'all are both going to be better off for not having these just like toxic doesn't even cut it.
It's radioactive.
It's that really annoying kind of toxic where it's like it's not outright negative at first. It's like it's the weaponized positivity,
Yeah,
the
it's like, you don't
weaponized
love
but I just
me.
love you so much.
Yeah.
And then if you still don't budge, then it flips and does a 180 and then
You
she
don't
just
love me
you just get attacked.
But that is the end of that story. So we'll see you for the next one.
Yep, we got another one coming right up. My dad's new family stole my inheritance after he passed by claiming my dad had no kids.
Yep, Golden Pass, you get one practice family, and they get to steal your inheritance.
I got a phone call from my brother. He told me that our father had passed away. He was contacted by our dad's girlfriend. By the way, this comes from user APK19900 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. So, she told him that she came home from work that morning and found him deceased on the bathroom floor. She suspected an overdose or a heart attack. My brother was the only point of contact, and I wasn't contacted by anyone but my brother. He was never asked to come to the funeral home or what we wanted to do with the body. He was told that our father's brother had claimed himself as the next of kin to the coroner. A few days later, my brother was informed that our father had been cremated and his girlfriend had his remains at her home.
What?
That the girlfriend should never be getting the remains. My brother contacted Dad's girlfriend to see if he can have our father's 65 Chevy pickup truck, since that was the only thing he owned in his name, and a project they had worked on together. The girlfriend told him she would get back to him when everything settled down. My brother was in contact with Dad's brother, his wife, and the girlfriend regularly to see when would be a good time to come and get the truck. Both of them kept giving him the runaround and never a straight answer. My brother made another call to the girlfriend and was informed that she was tired of looking at it, so she had our dad's brother send his stepson to come and pick it up. So my father's step-nephew. My brother contacted the step-nephew, which I guess I want to call the step-few, and told him that he can come and get the truck from him. Step-few responded saying that, "Your dad told me years ago if anything ever happened to him that I'm to keep that truck. I already have it transferred into my name. Your dad told me you are not responsible enough and he would never leave you something like that." Hey, buddy, you're a step-few. You need to, pipe down.
Pipe down, dog.
Stephew? Are you serious?
Like you like that.
You're talking to his son. The Stephew also said some more hurtful and disrespectful words. I was informed about this situation and I reached out to my dad's girlfriend by phone and told her I would like to retrieve my father's remains and talk to her about my father. She agreed to meet with me. She ended up not being able to meet that day and we talked on the phone instead. She told me that we can meet next weekend and that I can take some of his remains to share with my brother and sister, that my father has a bag of photos of my children and family that she would like me to take, and that I can have the blanket that is on his bed. After I got off the phone with the girlfriend, I sent a text message to the step-nephew and told him I would like to arrange a time and place to meet and take the truck. He responded by telling me, "Hey, check this out. I don't know what makes you guys think that you're entitled to that truck, and I don't know how you guys got my effing number, but you need to lose it." He sent my brother a wasted text saying how much he loved him and to reach out if he ever needed anything is how he got the number. "That truck is in my name. It was left to me as a gift. Your dad did not want nothing like that to go to your brother. He talked about it going to me many times, so tell your emo brother to get the F out of people's ears, and if he calls my mom again, me and him are going to have an effing problem. You guys gave up on your dad because he was an addict, and now he effing OD'd, and you think you're entitled to crap instead of you being there and helping him through all this BS? No, my family was there for him."
It sounds like the dad may have just left the family. That's what I'm saying. I don't think you guys gave up on him. He just left you.
Yeah.
That's what I see.
There's multiple layers in this family lasagna right now. This step-nephew then sent me a photo of the truck's vehicle registration to prove to me that he had the truck transferred into his name. I sent a report of fraudulent registration through the DMV website stating that my father passed away and there's no possible way that he could have signed over the pink slip and gave the step-nephew the truck as a gift nearly 5 weeks after his passing. I asked my brother how he would have done any of that without a death certificate or a pink slip. He said that he was told the pink slip was left in the glove box. My father has been an auto mechanic for well over 30 years. There is not a scenario on earth where he would have ever left a pink slip in the glove box. The next day, the girlfriend called me to tell me that she did not want to give me the blanket off my dad's bed because her dogs sleep on it every night and it would make them depressed if she took it away from them. This person needs to go to the sun immediately. Who do you think you are?
Yeah.
Girlfriend?
They getting a whole lot of this, dude.
Based on some of the stuff I've heard, this girlfriend could have been an enabler. She told me that instead of the blanket, I could have the Eagles jersey in the closet that she previously told me the step-nephew had claimed. What? Step-nephew needs to be so far down the list of people who are allowed to claim stuff first. I contacted the county vital records department to see if my father's death certificate was available. I was informed that it was available and that nobody had requested a copy of the record. I contacted the county sheriff coroner. I was informed that she handled my father's case. She said that her report shows that she asked both the girlfriend and dad's brother if our dad had children, and both of them said no.
Oh, Sue. So,
She said that her database also does not show any relatives.
oh, okay.
She told me that there were issues in this case because on our dad's only filed legal document, which is his driver's license, his last name was spelled incorrectly. She told me that I could contact the civil courts or make a report with the city police department. I called the police department and I explained my situation, not being named as next of kin, and also that the truck was taken and quote unquote gifted to his stepview after his passing, and was informed that I needed to follow up with my DMV report and then the DMV would take legal action if necessary, and I should contact civil courts as well. I contacted the DMV investigations department. They informed me that they're extremely backlogged, go figure, and it would be well into January before my case was even assigned to anyone. They told me I need to come up with any and all documentation that I can possibly use to prove that the truck should belong to me or my brother, and it would be difficult and nearly impossible without a will. I've had very little contact with my father in the last 15 years because of his addiction. He met my baby son 14 years ago, and I told him that whenever he's ready to get clean, let me know and we can move forward.
Dang.
But I could not be an enabler or introduce my child to a relationship that was unstable.
Good on you, OP.
It feels like he left a family that was pressing him to change for the better and found another situation where people were maybe a little less lean.
Yeah, they're like, we don't really care. Whatever you want to do, man.
We're making an assumption there, but people in active addiction typically don't like to be in environments where they're constantly challenged on it.
Yeah.
My brother is 9 years younger than I am and was too little to understand what living with addiction was like. So he decided to restore and keep a relationship with him since he was about 10 years old. I do not know if there is anything I can do legally. The local attorney wants $800 for just a consult. Other than my brother wanting something meaningful that came from my dad, I don't even know what kind of justice I'm looking for. I just don't think they should get away with pretending we didn't exist. And by the way, we'll never pretend you don't exist whenever you join us when we go live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitch. All you got to do is tap our profile and you're in. We do have a little bit of story left before you go check if we're live right now. But honestly, it's such a messy situation.
We should have a party where everyone makes a will. That would be so fun.
They've got to have those already.
We have a
I
party
wonder
with
what
all
they
of
call
our
that.
friends. And we're like, hey guys, let's all make our will real quick.
I guess the only thing was really the truck. It's blowing my mind that the girlfriend is like, you can't have the blanket because my dogs like it. What an absolute idiot. You know, part of this is also like, how much of this I wonder is coming from OP just being like, I'm sure like grief is complicated and they'll probably feel more and more stuff as time goes on. But they didn't have that relationship for 15 years. So how much of this is really just coming from a place of like, I just don't want to feel like we were completely ignored, like we don't exist. And it's less about, it was my dad.
I don't know, but these people can't be getting away with all this crap. They had him cremated without the kids knowing.
This is a messy story. When my dad was sober, he was a wonderful father. The first 14 years of my life, he was my best friend. I'm angry at him for passing without trying to get better, but I do not believe I was raised to be okay with being lied to, stolen from, and completely forgotten. Do I have a case here, or are my feelings just hurt?
No, I mean, try to do the best you can. It sounds like you're going to have a lot of patience with this.
Yeah.
But don't let these people get away with this.
In terms of a case, it sounds like if they told officials that y'all didn't exist, I think that definitely gives you a case. But we're not lawyers.
No.
But generally, when people ask you, did he have any next of kin? And they go, nope, those people don't exist. And you both exist in this plane of reality. I think you'll have a case there. But I don't know what the timeline will be because stuff moves pretty slow like that, especially when there's not a lot of documents backing it up. But that is the end of that story.
My wife accused me of emotionally stealing our son, all because I started spending more time with him.
You have absconded with the boy emotionally.
You made him like you.
Stop it.
I've been married to my wife for 15 years now. We married in our senior year of college. Upon graduation, she worked for 3 years to help pay for our finances while I was in law school. By the way, this comes from throwaway 37387282 on the OK Storytime subreddit. So during my last year of law school, my wife got pregnant with our son, Zane. After his birth and my graduation, I found work at a big firm out in NYC. I began making a good 6 figures, and my wife asked if she could become a stay-at-home mom to help raise our son. I agreed with her and told her I would cover the house finances. We've never had any issues with this. True, I would work long hours, but she understood. The house would always be clean and there was always food ready when I got home. It was a great dynamic. The only issue is that I rarely saw my kid. Zane was usually asleep by the time I got home because I would get home late. Zane and his mom are close because they spend a lot of time together. Fast forward to 2020 and the pandemic hits.
The vid.
During the pandemic, firms, including the one I worked at, moved to remote work. I was happy I could work from home and spend more time with my wife and kid. Zane loved it. He would bring his Legos and toys into my room and sit on the floor and play near me, and we could talk and have a good time. That's so cute.
That is
That's
adorable.
what I want. I want to just be working and my kids just I don't know, playing Legos. That's cute.
I built my Legos.
You can work and I'll just build Legos.
That sounds
next-
great. Can we do
Yeah,
that?
we can do that.
I have a
that.
bunch of Legos.
We should
Yeah,
have a
he
Lego night.
does.
Can we play Legos on Sunday and go see Nosferatu?
It's like let's do two things that are completely polar opposite here.
Excellent. At the beginning, my wife was happy about it. She liked seeing us together and she would join in the room too. Me doing my work and them hanging around. However, if everything stayed great, I wouldn't be writing this. It's been 3 years since 2020 and my firm still allows remote work, so I still take advantage of it. Zane still comes into play on a Switch or iPad and even does his schoolwork in there while I work. This is so cute. My wife doesn't join us anymore. She just sits in the other room watching TV. So a few nights ago, I asked her if everything was okay, and she got loud and mad, which she has never done before.
Ooh.
She began accusing me of stealing Zane from her, how it used to be the two of them laughing and having fun time, but now all he wants to do is stay near my office or in my office. I was shocked. I told my wife that he's my kid too, and that with me here we can all spend time together, unlike how we couldn't before. She said I was trying to emotionally steal her son from her. I reminded her that he was my son too, and I deserved to be around him as much as she did.
This is a our. This is not a me. This is
Yeah,
a
this
we.
isn't your son. This is both of your guys' son.
Pluralize.
And also, my wife began crying and packed an overnight bag and decided to go stay with her sister. I was left dumbfounded at how south everything had gone in this conversation. It's been 3 days since she left, and her texts have basically been dry and basically asking me to go back to working on site in my firm. How? Oh,
Everyone's calling her a boy mom.
that's really messed up. I don't want to have to do this, as I'd much rather work from home, closer to my family. I've spoken with her sister, and she said that she sees no issue in what I'm doing and said she will try to reason with my wife. I told one of my friends, and he asked if it was possible that Zane wasn't my kid, and my wife was feeling guilt seeing us together. That's a reach.
Ooh. I mean, yeah, that is a big
That's
reach.
a big reach.
I think there's a
Yeah.
couple more stops we can take
Yeah.
on the logic train before we end up there.
I told him that wasn't possible, not only because my wife has never shown any signs of being unfaithful, even while dating, but we did a paternity test for safety measures. That was the lawyer part of me that wanted it. Dang.
Oh.
Dang.
This guy's like
It's
Dr.
like,
Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but he's
Don't
just
worry,
a
I
lawyer and a
already
dad.
did it. We also have security cameras in and around the house due to 2 security incidents a few years ago. My wife never leaves without texting me, and nothing is off at home. We also share each other's locations on iPhone, so I doubt there's an affair being covered up. He also still spends a lot of time with her and likes to go with her when they go out. Zane is wondering where mom is, and I'm left really confused. Has anyone ever dealt with this before? Any thoughts on what I should do? And there are some relevant comments. But my comments are absolutely do not go back to work just because your wife is feeling jealous. I think hopefully she'll come around so you guys can just have like a conversation, because there was no issue. You guys were all hanging out together.
Yeah.
That should be the goal, that you're all hanging out together.
Yeah, add some peanut butter to her jelly because
Yeah,
she's just
right.
jealous that she doesn't have. I guess it's just. It feels like it's just a small phase. Like
Yeah.
she got all the time, and now the child is spending all the time with the dad. It doesn't make any sense.
No.
It feels like she should be happy about it, but
You would
Yeah,
think.
exactly. I'm like, oh my god, that's so cute. Let me take a photo.
Yeah.
So what-
And
Go
they
back
were
to
all
doing your
hanging
thing.
out together.
what
So
was going on when the
I wonder if
switch
someone
flipped?
talked to her or something. you
Somebody
know?
say something.
Yeah.
She get pressure from her book club.
But there are some relevant comments. DJ Nebraska 1982 says, "What does your wife do all day when Zane is in school? Does she have friends or hobbies? It truly sounds like she has some personal issues and she's using your son as a scapegoat to cover them up." Opie says she does have friends that she visits or come over. As far as hobbies go, she likes cooking and pastry baking. She used to love having Zane sit in his chair by the kitchen counter and she would let him taste her new recipes and pastries. While Zane is at school and I was working in office, she would do house stuff like cooking, cleaning, then watching TV or looking up culinary ideas if she's not going out with her friends. years. She still cooks and bakes, even with us at home, and in those moments, she's happy because Zane likes cooking with his mom, so he's with her when she does. Yet, Marionetka says, you were married with no reason to suspect infidelity and still require a paternity test? Assuming this is real, you need couples counseling because both of you are approaching the relationship in an unreasonable way.
Guys, it was the lawyer half
It was
of him.
the lawyer.
He's two guys. One of them is a fun dad, and the other is lawyer.
And you can't have one without the other. OP says,
He's Dr. Lawyer and Mr. Dad.
there we go. It's a new musical. OP says, like I said, it was the lawyer in me trying to cover all possible bases.
The moon was full that night, and you know what happens. I become Dr. Lawyer.
Every month I become a lawyer. I can't stop.
And I also get very hairy, and I howl at the moon.
I merely suggested it, and she was totally fine with it. She has no issue with it. I don't know why some people see the asking of a paternity test to be some large act of betrayal. If it's yours, everything is fine. If not, then you know. This was 12 years ago. It hasn't been an issue ever in our relationship. Wait, is this kid 12? I guess. Must be.
I'm not sure.
Nothing in this relationship has ever been approached in an unreasonable way. Fun Homework 3456 says, a big part of your wife's identity is that she's a mother. You earn the money, she raises the kid. You're stealing that from her by parenting more actively. Her reaction is totally inappropriate, of course, but the solution might be for her to get a job or a hobby or more friends. She could also learn to parent together instead of separately. I told him that wasn't possible, not only because my wife has never shown any signs of being unfaithful even while dating, but we did a paternity test for safety measures. Quote, it sounds like there's a lack of trust in your marriage. The paternity test would be incredibly insulting to most women, and her never leaving the house without texting you is really odd and concerning to me. OP says, I plan on making an update a little later since I spoke to my wife and got where she was coming from. Okay.
Ooh, wait. If you took a paternity test, would you be able to like detect like mutation genes? You know what I mean?
I think so.
No?
I don't think so.
That'd be so cool. Need a mutant test. I want to know if my kid's a mutant or
You
not.
can send them to the mutant school.
Yeah.
Charles Xavier, shout out to him.
When are the mutants gonna show up?
Taking too long.
God, we've got aliens before mutants.
We actually, there are mutations. You do realize that?
I know, but like, I want more mutants.
What's cool ones?
Yeah, I want like laser beam, pinky finger.
If current me were the me back then, I wouldn't ask for a paternity test, but back then I was a student working in family law, and I kept hearing cases where people found out they were raising children that weren't theirs, and people telling their spouses during arguments that they never actually loved them. I got a bit paranoid, I'll admit. As for the texting without leaving, that's something we both started doing. I'll text her whenever I leave the office, even if it's for lunch. It's NYC and we've both been mugged before. I got mugged right outside my office before, so we do it so that if anything happens, we know where the other last was. And update, good update.
Yay!
Woo!
Good update. I hope the update is we both love our kid and we're cool about it now.
And now we're gonna love our kid together.
Yeah.
And we love each other.
Yeah. Woo.
I went to speak with my wife the night I made this post. I went over to her sister's house to try and understand why she said what she said. Upon seeing me, she immediately began crying and asking me to forgive her, and that she was sorry that she said what she said. Apparently, she talked with her sister, and her sister tried explaining to her that our son was growing up and becoming more independent. The majority of the comments on the original post were right. She had been a stay-at-home mom for the past 12 years, but now that our son was exploring his independence, she didn't know what to do and felt lost. Good communication here.
Good communication there.
I asked her what caused the big blow-up, and she said that our son had told her that he wanted to stop doing the weekly baking Saturdays with her,
Oh no.
as he wanted to instead start watching college football with me.
But you know, like,
football.
maybe you just move baking time to another time.
Or you have everyone come into the room for baking time, and you put on the game.
No, you can't bake and watch the game at the same time.
How invested do you have to watch the game?
Well, it depends on how much you are a fan.
I guess so.
And when you're talking about, I don't know if this is American football.
Football.
Is this American football or is this footy?
His school's also asking them to explore their extracurriculars for next year. And my wife wanted him to do a cooking extracurricular that the school provides. He told her he didn't want to do that and wanted to start playing football. This is going into that one poem where it's like, your kids are not your own. And you can try and, push them towards the
Yeah.
path that you want them to, but in the end, they're going to go where they want to do.
Yep. It's free will is what a problem, isn't it?
Important to note that in my office that I said my son spends a lot of time in, there is a lot of my football memorabilia. I played in high school, as did my brother and my father. Now I had few trophies and a state championship ring that Zane liked to hold and look at. No, I didn't play in college. I was a backup on the team. Basically, what did it for her was that Zane started to ignore all the old hobbies they did together and wanted to align himself with my interests. She felt the connection between them weakening. He's just grown up.
I don't know. You can figure something else out.
Yeah, sometimes you just have to like change and be like, okay, well, maybe he doesn't like this, but maybe there's something else that we can kind of
Just
bond
do
over.
hobbies all together. But you could also have a alone time.
Yeah.
Pivot, build Legos.
There we go. She was in tears the entire time she was speaking. I listened to her and understood where she was coming from. It can't be easy to have your identity be attached to one thing and then have that one thing changed. I asked her why she was gone for 3 days. She said that she didn't mean to be gone for this long, but that when her sister mentioned she put all her identity into our son, she thought it would be a good idea to be away for a few days, give herself some separation. I told her that he will always be her son and that she will always hold a special place in her heart, that no matter how old he gets or how his interests change, he will always need his mom. He's just changing, and part of our job as parents is to embrace that change and support him.
Yes, beautifully put.
This is lovely. She came home with me that night. She hugged Zane and cried, telling him that she was sorry for leaving. I took your advice and suggested family counseling, marriage counseling, or individual therapy. She said she would like to put off the first two for now, but did ask for help finding a therapist for herself. So that should help. I suggested her getting a job or something that she can do so that her entire identity isn't being a mom. She said she doesn't like her college degree, so I told her to go back to school if she wants, and I'd foot the bill. She's planning on doing culinary school and wants to open a YouTube cooking channel, and I told her I'm behind her 100%. There's more, but this is wonderful.
That is wonderful.
This is absolutely wonderful. They had kind of a fight, and then they came back and said, what's the problem? This is how we're going to fix it.
Mm.
And I want you to go pursue the things that you love, because it is never too late to go back to school, and it's never too late to find a new interest, because our life is all about learning.
True.
And just because you're out of school does not mean that you have to stop learning.
And I will say this as well. I'm not gonna be we actually don't go to school, but for that specifically, it's you're going to culinary school because you want to start a YouTube channel. It's don't go to culinary school. Every single thing that you need to learn is already on YouTube. It's
Yeah, but
already
there's-
on the internet. Everything that you
Absolutely.
need is already out there, and you can document the whole process of you going from I don't know, I'm not an expert, I'm not a professional, and then you can have that the journey and the growth that you go through can now be documented, and now it's part of your channel and it's part of the entertainment package. It's don't let the preconceived notion of what you quote unquote need to have before you can officially be something stop you from being that thing.
Absolutely. I do think though different things work for different people.
Yeah.
I would say for me, school works really well for my brain. But for other people, for Sam, he's able to figure so much out through YouTube.
To emphasize again, I'm not the guy being you don't need, but it's
If you do,
all of the stuff you need to learn those kind of skills are all floating around out there outside of school. But exactly what Sophia said,
whatever works for
the
your brain.
structure of an environment like that can really be necessary for people. But if you don't have the money
Explore
or
your
you can't
options.
afford it and you're not in a situation like OP, don't let that stop you, because the internet is wonderful.
Very true.
Full of information.
It's like this. She also wanted to start working at her friend's bakery, so she'll be starting there next month. This is so exciting. I'm also asking Zane if he would want to do designated mom time and designated dad time. He can do activities with his mom, and I can do activities with him. He asked me to help him practice football, so I'm thrilled to do that with him. We also decided that mom and dad need to have their alone time, so he's going to get more free time to himself. These past 2 nights have been great, and I'm happy seeing my wife happy and back home with us. Thank you guys for all your support and comments. And by the way, I love when you guys support us by listening to full episodes with stories like this. Just go on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search up OK Storytime.
That's right. That's all it takes.
All it takes.
That's all it takes.
All it takes.
And then you'll have something to do for basically the rest of your life.
The whole time.
Yeah.
But there is a little bit left to the story. Do you have any final thoughts?
I mean, honestly, nothing that's not already been touchdown, or it's like this is just progressed wonderfully.
great.
This
Yeah.
has progressed
That's what
wonderfully.
we love to see.
Yes.
But let's finish off this story. A few answers to things in the comments from last time. Why does my wife have to text me when she's going somewhere? She doesn't. We both text each other out of our free will. It is New York City, and we have both been mugged before. This is a protective measure so we know where the other is in case anything happens. Why did I ask for a paternity test if I knew she didn't cheat? When she gave birth, I was working at a family law clinic my last year of law school. I had to be around couples who were finding out that their children weren't actually theirs. It made me a bit paranoid, and my wife understood. Was it a stupid in hindsight? Yes. And if current me was the me back then, he definitely wouldn't have asked for one. And that is the end of that story. I feel like our son abandoned us. He refuses to move closer to home.
Let the bird free. Let him flap his wings.
I'm
Fly.
56 female, and I live with my husband, 64 male. We only have one son, 33 male, who currently lives abroad, and we see each other once a year, as it's very far away and expensive to go. By the way, this comes from Loving Mom 12.
Oh, so sweet.
We live in a small town. He moved away when he was 18 for college and never came back. We expected him to move back after he graduated, but he decided to stay where he was since he already had a job and a girlfriend there. They got married. Our town is close to our state's capital, where his work field is very strong. Ever since his senior year in college, I've been trying to convince him to move closer for a better career and to stay close to his family. He never showed interest, which I find odd, especially since his wife also works in the same field.
City.
I never told anything besides let them know me and his father are always here if they needed us. Until recently, things were fine.
Fine.
I miss him a lot. We text every day, but we don't get to speak to each other often. The problem is my father, 84 male, whose health took a dive and is very fragile. And with my son living so far away, he's missing precious time he could be spending right here. His granddad is not likely to live many years from now. I told the news to my son, and he was sad about it, and he came to see us and left a week ago. I was honest with him. I said his grandfather will not stay with us for so long, and since he lives very far away, he will lose the opportunity to stay close and enjoy the time he has left. He was not happy about me touching on this matter. He said I was trying to guilt him into moving back, which is true. I asked him why he was doing this to me.
How could you?
Why doesn't he miss me and his dad?
Oh.
We are getting old, and he's only seeing us once or twice a year. It's cruel to us.
Well, she's going harder and harder.
Hard.
This is ramping.
Mama just wants your baby bird back.
He said he missed us, but he's happy where he is and does not plan on moving back. And he and his wife are already making plans on buying a house where they live.
I wonder where abroad they're living.
Yeah, I don't know. I couldn't take it, and I burst out crying.
Oh.
I told him I felt abandoned, that he didn't seem to care for us, and he should enjoy his family while he can because we will not be here forever. I asked what makes him think he cannot be happy living here. He didn't respond. The few days after this were very awkward, and after he left, he seemed to be even more distant, avoiding me and being very short on his texts. Yeah. Yesterday, his wife called and said my son was feeling bad and told her what happened. She called me an a-hole and said I had no right to try and manipulate him like that, and I should be ashamed. I don't think I'm the a-hole for wanting my son to be closer to me. They are the a-hole for
Oh.
abandoning family.
Okay.
Am I including her as well since she did the same? I talk to her mother often, and she's on my side.
Her mother agrees with me. I am right.
I must be right. I didn't
Awesome.
realize we could edit the original post. I just want to add some information. I'm not asking my son to sell his happiness just to be by my side. I just can't see why he needed to be so far away while he and his wife could have wonderful careers around our area. They could earn more money while staying close to family. It's illogical for me to think about anything different. Some are under the impression I gave up my life to become his mother, and that's not true. I had my own career and a good one. I worked hard to give my son the best I could. I retired 6 years ago. I realized there's a very strong cultural background where we come from. Family is expected to stay close. My son was the first member of my family that decided to move somewhere so far away that makes visiting once every 2 weeks or even once a month impossible to do. I don't expect to be taken care of when I get old. Me and my husband already talked about this, and unless my son wants to, we will not ask him to take care of us. Just to clarify, I'm not Indian. While I love India and I've been there once with my husband, I just want to clarify I'm South American. My son currently lives in North America. And there is another edit, which we'll also read. I think I'm getting it. It's really cultural. Most people here seem to be from the US, and I understand it's really normal for families to be separated after children move to college and they see each other just once a year at Christmas or Thanksgiving, for example. I was raised to believe families should stick together. I raised my son to have the same values, and I expected him to keep this tradition, but he's broken it. It's not his fault, but I will never understand this decision. This will probably be the last time I'm editing the post. I realize that I will never understand my son's motivation to move away, and I will also never understand why he broke free from our culture of family closeness. No, I am completely unable to see the world how he does, and I just have to accept it.
Okay.
Dang. I am still feeling abandoned, neglected, and I'm resenting his decisions. I think he's ungrateful, and I will probably rethink our will.
Whoa.
It's from mama bird to mama vulture.
It's crazy how much she recognizes that she's
It seems like she has a lot of self-awareness.
Yeah,
and she
but-
sees the other possibility of like
Exactly.
understanding his worldview, and she's like,
and
no,
she's like, I don't care.
I'm good. F him. I'm taking him out of the will.
Yeah, taking him out of the will?
That's wild.
That said, I have to accept he adopted a new culture, and that is just who he is now. He changed, and I'm not able to change him back. So I take the judgment, and I will work with what I have from now on. Just to add some extra info, I'm rethinking my will because why should I leave everything for him since he chose to be so far away?
I don't like that.
It's a really messed up way of thinking. His cousins are all nearby, and they help us when we need them. I'm closer to them now than I am to my son. I'm not taking him off the will. Okay, we've doubled back.
Okay.
I'm just not going to leave him everything. Okay. He gets to live where he wants, far away from us, and I get to choose whoever goes on my will. Choices, right? She's so vindictive.
This doesn't.
And there is another edit.
I've edit 4 out of edit 20. Every edit. This might be the last edit, but
yeah, but I've rethought my will.
and he's out of it again.
Edit 4. I'm not writing him off my will. I was angry, frustrated, and sad when I wrote that.
Oh my god.
I never expected him to give up his life for me. All I want is my son to be close to his family. That's it. I don't know why it's so difficult for you people to see my point.
This poor woman.
My son has everything he could possibly need to be successful, start a family, and still stay close. But he chose to move to another country. How am I supposed to feel? I'm proud he is a good professional, a good husband, and I'm happy to have helped him pave this road. I still think he's a horrible person for choosing to stay away.
Whoa. I feel like that's the
She needs therapy.
yeah.
So, like, back and forth with everything.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you compliment him, and then you're like, all right, but
Man.
I'm still upset.
And he's a horrible person.
Yeah, literally calling him a horrible
I love my
person.
son so much, I just want him home, but he really sucks.
He
Yeah,
freaking sucks. To be honest, he didn't even need to live right next to us. He could have simply
down the
stayed
block.
3 hours away. This way we could at least visit him often or plan any activities together. All you people say is his decisions, his life, his choices. I get it, but how is it so easy for y'all to dismiss where I'm coming from? Why did he need to go to another country?
She's not feeling seen.
No.
She's feeling alone by her son, and now Reddit's
And now
abandoning
Reddit's
her.
attacking her. Yes, I am assuming he did that just to stay away from us, which makes him a horrible son. As clingy as I may be, I come from a place of love.
And control and
And
manipulation
hatred.
and guilt and shame.
I've always let him know I love him, and I've always thought about the best for him. But at the same time, am I really this wrong to expect some closeness? He never starts conversations. I'm the one who sends the texts. If I don't tell him the news about his relatives, he doesn't ask. How am I supposed to not feel abandoned? Seriously, I don't know what else to say. Edit
How many
5.
edits?
There's a lot of edits. Lots of comments asking why don't I move closer to him instead? I will not do to my own parents what he's doing to me.
I'm not a monster.
Even if I didn't have my parents, I'm unable to get a permanent visa. Comments. Comment 1.
Does that mean no more edits?
There are probably more edits.
Damn it.
But we have comments, so maybe they'll get some sense in her.
I
Doubt.
don't think it's working so far.
Big doubt. Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think it's working.
Comment 1. You're the a-hole. Not for feeling sad that your son lives far away, but for constantly trying to guilt him into moving back when he has made clear that it is not going to happen. Adults get to choose for themselves where they want to live and what career they want. Your son is not required to move close to you. Comment 2. I've lived in a different country from my family for 20 years. I did return for a while when my grandma was in decline and was reminded why I left. I love my family, but I love them a lot more when they're not in the same country. Update. Whoa, we got an update, not an edit. Hello, I wanted to provide you all with an update since my original post gained a lot of attention and sparked various discussions. Some were unfortunately rude and disrespectful.
Aw.
Since my last post, I improved my relationship with my son and his wife.
Okay.
Switched therapists.
Okay, so she was going to therapist.
It clearly wasn't working.
It's just a bad
before, yeah.
therapist.
Started treatment for my anxiety and depression. Lost my father. I'm so sorry.
That is very sad.
Things started to turn around when I decided to change therapists and went on a few sessions with the new one.
I did not expect this turnaround. This is amazing.
Yeah. Their approach allowed me to come to terms with the fact that my son's values, perspectives on the world, and life objectives will never align with mine. And that's okay.
Oh.
Whoa.
Acceptance.
Whoa.
I feel like when she typed that, she's like slamming. Like
She's like,
that's
okay.
It's okay.
It was a tough realization, but an important one. During therapy, I also discovered that my anxiety was way more off than I thought, and I never treated it. I started taking medication. After a few months, I was feeling a lot better about my son living away from me. Moreover, my therapist helped me understand a crucial aspect of my life. I had been living under the weight of guilt, giving up on so many plans for the sake of my own parents. A silly example. When my husband and I got married, I wanted to get a cat, but my father always hated cats. I thought to myself, my father despises felines. It wouldn't be fair to him to have a cat in our home. What if they come to visit? I wouldn't be a good daughter. When I recounted this story to my therapist, they were shocked on how normal I thought that was. This was just one of many instances where guilt dictated my decisions. Both of my parents were masters at instilling guilt, and I had internalized it over the years. Main point of the original post, I wanted my son to continue living close to me. He didn't. In my misguided attempts to enforce my desires, I resorted to guilt-tripping him repeatedly. It's how I'd been taught. It's what I knew. I now see how wrong and unhealthy that behavior is.
I'm so proud of
180.
her.
I'm really
shocked
proud.
and so proud.
I'm incredibly proud. While I may never fully understand or relate to the idea of living far away from family, still hurts, I've come to accept that this is my issue to grapple with, not my son's burden. I am determined to confront this challenge alone and refuse to allow it to dictate my happiness. After my father passed, it happened suddenly. My son wanted to come to his funeral, but it would be so exhausting for him, not to mention expensive. So I told him there was no need to come. He could stay and we could get together and remember Grandpa another time. Whoa.
Dude, this is crazy.
Whoa. Someone get that therapist number.
Yeah, literally. The glow up.
Yeah.
The glow up.
I was surprised with myself. In other times, I would have guilted him into coming as fast as he could. I would never guilt you guys into joining us live on YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitch.
But if you don't, it's like actually really rude and mean.
I mean, we're live every 3 p.m.
Like
PST
every
every
day.
weekday. Stop our profile.
If you don't come, we're so lonely.
Any final thoughts?
I feel like
I feel pride.
every 50 stories, I get a happy ending.
Yeah.
And I'm feeling really happy.
We started
to
on
get
a
this
happy story
we started
today, guys.
on a happy story.
You know what that means?
We're going to end on a
Please.
depressing one.
Everything else is gonna be
Please.
really sad.
It's all
You
going
get
down
one.
from here,
I believe
folks.
that, and I'm begging that not to be the case.
In conclusion, I want to thank those who were respectful for the wake-up call and the discussions that unfolded from my initial post. It has been an enlightening journey of self-discovery and growth. I'm committed to continuing my progress and learning how to prioritize my own well-being while respecting the autonomy and choices of those around me. And an edit, because she loves edits. Thank you, everyone, for this awesome reception of my post. I wasn't expecting this much love. I want to take some time and reply to each comment, but I'll address one point that everyone seems to be commenting. Yes, my husband and I will adopt a cat.
Wait, what?
Lovely. I actually was hoping that, because she was like, when I was, when my
Yeah.
dad was around, I never got a cat, and I
Sure.
always wanted one.
I remember that. I just didn't think like logistically she was like, and I still want a cat.
I still freaking want a
I
cat.
guess so.
We
Dreams come
need to
true.
secure our house first. We plan on keeping it indoors for its safety, so we'll catify the environment the best we can. I've been watching a lot of Jackson Galaxy videos. I'm not familiar.
I don't know what that is.
But there are some comments to finish off. Comment 1 says, my mom needs to see your therapist. Comment 2, mine too. Comment 3, mine too. Comment 4 through 5, mine 2 and mine 3. And that is the end of that story.
My son's best friend came from a troubled home and I was asked to foster him. Wow, that's a big commitment, big ask. I have one son, Henry, age 12. Henry is best friends with a boy named Archie, age 14. It has always been clear that Archie comes from a troubled home. From what I can gather, and I do not have the full information, Archie's mom is a user of illicit substances, and Archie has been on the at-risk register for a long while. Honestly, I don't know why it has taken them this long to decide he's being moved to foster care. I was told that the school had recommended me and asked to see if I could take him in. They said it would likely be long-term until he turns 18. I honestly didn't know what to say. I was in shock. I have been unofficially supporting Archie for a while now. I pick him up from his house and drop him off at school with my son. He spends a lot of weekends at my place. On days when he doesn't come to my place, I make sure to pack him something to eat when I pick him up because he told me that his school lunch is his only meal most days. I buy him soap and deodorant and I even wash his clothes for him. But supporting however I can and taking him on fully is a big jump. I'm a single dad. I have a decent job, but I'm far from well off. I live in a small 2-bedroom house, meaning Henry and Archie would have to share a room, which they do now when Archie stays, but it's only for short bursts. Plus, there's the responsibility of taking on another human. I was told that they had a lack of foster cares in the local area, so if I didn't agree to take him, it is likely that he would have to move counties and schools. I don't want that. I was already having Archie stay with me for the 2-week Christmas holiday, so I asked if I could think about it and give him the firm answer in the new year. They agreed. Archie has not yet been informed about any of this. I've tried to make this a normal Christmas for him as much as possible. My heart is telling me, of course you're going to take that little boy in, but my brain is worried about the responsibility and cost of taking on another mouth to feed, another boy to clothe. At the same time, I keep thinking about Archie's situation. He has already had such a rough start in life, and I know that he needs stability and care more than anything else. I can't bear the thought of him being uprooted again, losing his school, his friends, and the small semblance of normality he has here. I keep asking myself if I can really give him what he needs, and I don't know if I have all the answers right now. I've always taught Henry the importance of kindness, and I see how much he cares about Archie too. Part of me feels that this might not just be me taking on more responsibility, it's about giving him the chance to grow up with a sense of love and belonging. So I suppose I'm left balancing what's practical with what feels right in my heart. And I'm leaning towards saying yes. I spoke to my own mom about it, and she thinks it's an awful idea. She's worried I'm biting off more than I can chew, especially as a single dad. She reminded me that I already have a ton on my plate with work, the house, and raising Henry on my own. She said that taking in another child, especially one with a difficult background, would add stress and might affect my ability to provide for Henry properly. She didn't say it outright, but I could tell she's afraid this might make life harder for all of us, including Archie. I understand her concerns. Honestly, I do. But I can't imagine just turning him away when he needs help the most. I told her that I haven't made a final decision yet, but that I need to think about what's best for everyone involved, not just what's easiest. And I haven't even discussed any of this with Henry yet, which will be a huge factor in my final decision. This has been a huge rant, and if you've read it, thank you. I just needed to get this out somehow. And there are some comments, some relevant comments. DFPhD says, couple of thoughts. It's 4 years. Like, obviously, kids need support well beyond 18 if you can provide it. But if you can get that kid to graduate high school, you would already be a saint and nothing more could be expected of you. So it's not forever. Also, once that kid is 16, he can start working and help around the house more legitimately. Both things are not just for your benefit, but also great things for him to learn. Ask social services what additional resources you'd have access to if you were to foster. For example, here where I live, foster kids qualify for free school lunches. So that's a cost you don't have to incur. I would also find a local foster parent group, as I'm sure there are other resources available that may not even be ran by the state. Real talk, if it was me, I would do it as long as I didn't think that Archie would be a danger to Henry. Like, unless you think Archie could be violent, etc. Something like that. That makes a lot of sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah, because that is a difficulty with taking in foster kids. It's like, because they come from a difficult home, they obviously have difficult behavior that might show up.
And frameworks they approach things.
Yeah, and like coping mechanisms for emotions and stuff like that. So that can come up. If he's a good kid, I would do everything in my power to make that happen. I would set up a GoFundMe if necessary. I would try to lean on my friends and family to help. Also, depending on what your job is, I would ask if they can help in any way. I say this as someone who works for a giant company. Yes, I would worry, but a 14-year-old kid in foster care is not something I'd be able to let happen to a kid I care about. Another comment, Caffeine Please, says, I'm a single dad to 2 foster children. Started much the same way. Was asked to take in a youth of a friend of the family's. I've been fostering for a few years now. It's by far one of the best decisions I've ever made.
Oh, wow.
That's great. Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Heck yeah, it's an adjustment, but it's doable. Granted, I'm in Canada and can only speak for the agency I work with, but they've been great about helping with supports needed. There is funding for food, clothing, Christmas, and birthdays. You can get them to approve a certain number of paid respite hours per week. I have a respite worker for 25 hours per week, which I'm sure as a single parent you can understand is a huge help. And all the youth I've taken in over the last couple of years are always extremely grateful for a stable home. That said, if you decide it's not for you, there's no shame. But if you do decide to do it, I assure you it's worth it. It's obvious you care about the kid, which is probably already more than he's used to. Props to you for considering it. There is an update, so let's just get right into it.
And let us know in the comments, would you foster this child or not?
Yeah, what do you think? Update. I just wanted to come on and give an update. I want to say a huge thank you for all the responses. I genuinely didn't expect to receive so many replies, especially to something that was just meant to be a rant to get my emotions out. When I was asked to take in Archie, at first I felt honored. Then I felt worried about everything. I'm quite an anxious person in general, and my thoughts were flooded with concerns about whether I'd be good enough to support Archie in the way he needs. I love my mom, but she didn't help. I think I get my anxiety from her, although she has it on a much higher scale than I do. Every possible thing that could go wrong, she was texting me about all week. You're already stretched thin with work, and Henry, you won't get one-on-one time with Henry anymore. How will you afford everything? These are real concerns, and I'm glad she brought them up because they gave me the opportunity to think about how I could mitigate them. A few of you mentioned the fostering allowance, which I knew about, but I couldn't find any concrete information on how much it would actually be. Every source online seemed to give a difficult answer, but none suggested it was very much. However, as some of you advised, I called the social worker's office and said I was seriously considering taking in Archie, which they were thrilled about. But I needed to understand the finances first to see if it was feasible. They said they couldn't provide exact numbers as every case is different and it isn't decided until a placement is found. However, they told me the minimum would be around 190 euros, about $240 US per week, and that it would likely be completely tax-free. Additionally, I'd receive a significant discount on things like council tax. That was honestly a lot more than I expected and much higher than most of the figures I'd seen online. They also put me in touch with some of the other foster carers who answered my questions, which was incredibly helpful. This week has been very busy. I worked out my finances, added the estimate fostering allowance, and calculated how much Archie would likely increase my expenses. It worked out that I'd actually have a surplus compared to my current situation. Many of the foster carers I spoke to don't work full-time, using the allowance to supplement their income. I'm not sure if I want to do that, but they mentioned it helps to work part-time since fostering involves a lot of work, meetings, reports, and other responsibilities. On top of that, I'd need to complete training during the first year to become fully qualified. I considered that, and with the additional allowance, I could move to a 0.6 contract, working 3 days per week, while still covering the costs of moving to a 3-bedroom house. While that would leave me with a slightly less disposable income, it wouldn't be a significant reduction. I've spoken with my work and they said they would support me if I decided to do this, but I haven't made my final decision. I don't want it to seem like I'm taking advantage of Archie's allowance. After sorting out the finances, I needed to talk to Henry. This was honestly the most important part of my decision. If Henry said no, I would struggle to go ahead with it. I took him out and explained the situation. I didn't go into details of why Archie is going into care, as it's not my story to tell, even though Archie himself has been open about his rough home life. I discussed the potential changes, less one-on-one time, less privacy, at least in the short term while we find a bigger house, and so on. Henry was incredibly supportive. He said that he and Archie had talked about how they both wished Archie could come and live with us. I told him not to mention anything to Archie yet until I had the chance to speak with him, and he agreed. Yesterday, I arranged for social services to come over. Archie, his social worker, and I sat down to talk. They told Archie that he was going to be placed in foster care. Archie cried a lot. I cried a lot, and he asked to see his mom, which the social worker said that they'd arrange as soon as possible. In that moment, Archie didn't seem like a teenager. He seemed like a small child whose world was crumbling. And they asked Archie if he'd want to stay with me. Although he was still distraught about being in care, he said he'd love to stay with me. We discussed what it would mean and how it would affect us. Afterward, Archie and his social worker spoke privately, and then the social worker and I talked. They expressed how thrilled they were about my decision and said that they were pleased I planned to move to a bigger house soon, as Archie would need his own space, which I fully agree with. Normally, the boys spend most of their time upstairs playing Xbox, but later that day, Archie came down and asked if we could watch a movie together. He sat next to me, rested his head on my shoulder, and said, "Thank you for letting me stay with you." Writing this, I can feel tears welling up in my eyes again. I put my arm around him and said I'd always be there for him. By the way, we will always be there for you with stories just like this. Just go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app. Just search OK Storytime. You can see more stories like this. Today, Archie seems a little down, which is entirely understandable. I honestly expected him to take it harder than he has. To cheer him up, we're going to see the new Lion King movie, even though I hate those live action films, but this is for Archie. And then going out to eat, letting the boys choose where. I might return in a few months to give an update on how things are going. For now, I'm just hoping that everything will be okay. I know the first few months will be the hardest. If you guys have any experience fostering or a similar situation like this, or just supporting comments, comment down below because he's amazing. But that is the end of the story. So let's get on into the next one.
I refuse to punish my son for things that are not his fault, but my wife disagrees with me. This is a throwaway, but this involves some absolute high school drama nonsense that someone at my age should not have to deal with. But maybe I'm tripping and missing something. So here I am. I, 45 male, share a daughter, 17 female, and son, 15 male, with my wife, 41 female. My wife's best friend, who is also 40 female, has two daughters, 18 and 15. My wife's best friend moved to our town about 6 years ago. By the way, this comes from user miserable article 44 on the r/OK Storytime subreddit. My wife and her best friend have been not so subtly pulling for the two 15-year-olds to end up together. I find this weird and low-key creepy. About 2 years ago, wife's best friend's youngest daughter appeared to have developed a crush on our son. My son talked to me about it, and he had zero interest.
Oof.
So we discussed how to tactfully but firmly let her down. She has approached him again a number of times over the last couple years, and he has reaffirmed his lack of interest. This past summer, my wife's best friend's oldest daughter turned 18. Her parents went all out for her birthday. It was a whole weekend of festivities and events. One of the events was a couple's dinner for the oldest daughter and all her friends in couples. The younger daughter of the wife's best friend wanted to go to the dinner, but did not have anyone to go with. She asked my son, and he agreed to go, but only as friends and just this one time. So they went together. After the dinner, the quote couples all watched 10 Things I Hate About You together. It was my son's first time seeing it, and he commented that he thought the Heath Ledger singing scene was cool. This is important later.
I love that movie. It's one of my favorite movies.
Don't hate me. I haven't seen that.
We should watch
it's
it.
a great one.
It's great. I actually just showed it to my parents this year, and
Yeah?
they had never seen it.
It's one of
It's
the,
a great
the all-time classic early 2000s ones I haven't seen.
It is a classic movie.
My business partner, 44 male, every year for the last 5 years throws a huge Halloween party. All our employees are invited along with close friends and family. The party requires a costume. And at this party, there are prizes for best individual costume, group costume, and couples costume. My wife's best friend and her family are obviously invited every year. This year, the Halloween party is tonight on October 26th.
Oh.
So, let me get to the reason that I'm here. About a month ago, my son is at school, and coming towards him is my wife's best friend's younger daughter with a whole song and dance routine. She ends it by asking him to be her date for the Halloween party. My son was so frustrated and reiterated for everyone to hear that he is not interested in her like that at all. Of course, it being high school, some kids laughed and she ran off crying. She has been
Dang.
bullied pretty
Oh,
badly because of it.
The thing is that, like, let's say this is the first time she's ever said this, and then that's his reaction.
Sure.
That's messed up. That would be messed
This
up.
has been
However,
happening for a long time.
years of
A
him
long,
saying, "Hey, I'm
long,
not
long
interested in you.
time.
Not
Long,
interested.
long,
I'm so
long.
sorry. I'm not interested in you."
My wife's best friend and thinks our son owes her daughter an apology. My wife agrees and thinks at a minimum, he needs to defend her against the bullying. My son has said that for 2 years, he has told her he's not interested and reiterated it over and over. At this point, he thinks it's kind of harassing to him, and it is not his role to defend her harassment of him.
Yeah.
I agree with my son. My wife and I have had a number of disagreements about it since it happened. Well, things have intensified in the last couple of weeks or so because another girl who wife's best friend's daughter apparently does not like asked our son to be her date to the party, and he agreed. They are doing a pretty dope couples costume. This has really pissed off my wife because she thinks he should at least not go to the party with another girl out of respect. No.
This is ridiculous. Like he's not allowed to date
Is it
anyone?
ridiculous? Because that's what they said. Look.
That's true.
I think that is ridiculous. I plan on driving
too.
them to the party with me. My wife now does not want to go to the party and is saying I'm an a-hole and raising our son to be one. So am I the a-hole? And there's an update, but let's go ahead and say no. No, you're not the a-hole.
It's not. It's honestly, I'm sorry. If someone tells you no 5,000 times and then you're like, well, maybe they'll say yes if I choreograph a dance number and ask them.
Yeah, right.
Maybe
It's
I'm
like,
not just asking. I'm not asking the right way. That's the problem.
Now I've learned from Heath Ledger how to be cool.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like the onus on this is mostly on her mom.
Yeah,
By,
I think
like,
she's like.
not-
I think she's been pushing her to like, oh, you know, he'll eventually like you.
Yeah, it's like no, don't. No, just you
No.
should teach
Mhm.
your kid better
Consent.
how to
No is no.
how to go about this type of activity. Here's the update. Given the events of the past couple of weeks, I thought I would give an update. My wife did not come to the Halloween party. I took my son and his friend, and they had a great time. Unfortunately, they only came in fourth in the couple's costume voting. After the party, yeah, he
Dang.
was really hung up on that costume.
It's like I was really rooting for them.
After the party, tensions with my wife died down considerably. She still felt what I did was wrong, but she took a what's done is done attitude. The bullying at school has gotten more intense. Apparently, my wife's best friend's daughter confronted the girl who my son did take to the Halloween party. That escalated the bullying from other girls, and two factions have formed among the girls in 2 grades over this, and it has gotten out of hand. Apparently, some accusations have been thrown around about cheating at my son by various girls. My son has been unbothered because all his truly good friends know the truth.
The son is getting bullied.
Yeah, now the son's getting like gaslit.
This is a form of bullying.
This
If he's
the
getting
bullying is
lies
looping
thrown at him.
all the way back around
Yeah.
to OP. Last Friday, we got a call from the school wanting to meet with us about the situation since my son was the source, their words, not mine, of the issues. We met with some of the administration and one of the teachers on Tuesday. They wanted my son to help the situation by defending my wife's best friend's daughter to their classmates. He refused and talked extensively about her harassing behavior over the past 2 years. They pushed against his description of her conduct, but we ended the meeting with my son promising to provide a list of her harassment over the past 2 years. Why are they just trying to make it this guy's fault?
Yeah. This is like I knew people in, school who would act like they were the victim when they were actively causing the problems, you
Yeah.
know? And that's what she's doing. She's like, I'm getting bullied, but she's actively causing the problems.
Yeah.
It's like maybe people don't like you because you're doing unlikable things.
Ooh, facts. Facts. That was a bar you just dropped right there.
Thank you.
Maybe people don't like you because you're doing unlikable things.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. Tuesday evening, my son prepared the list and showed his mother and I. When my wife saw the list, it was like scales fell from her eyes. She got pretty emotional, apologized to our son, apologized to me, and we had a good group hug. She is now 100% on our side. She asked our son if she could share the list with her best friend. My son agreed. My wife's best friend's response was to double down. My wife is now going low contact for the time being.
Finally. This poor child has been going through this for years.
Yeah, literally has just been like, hey, you want to go on a date with me? No, please stop. I don't want to date you. Stop asking me.
What about if we went on a date in 2 weeks?
And then she did one of these. What if you want to go on a date with me now?
What about this? Go on a date with me right now.
On Wednesday, we took the list to the school. It is a private school and has a strict code of conduct for students in and out of school. So there's a possibility best friend's daughter may have some type of punishment for her behavior. I took my son out of school for the day and we hung out all day. Just dropped him back off at school today. So this is the update. That's a nice update. And you know what? You know what else is nice? Y'all joining us every weekday at 3 p.m. PST when we go live on YouTube, on Facebook, on Twitch, and I believe even on TikTok. All you gotta do is tap our profile. Tap it. And then you're in. And if you're watching this in the future, we may be live right now. You should go check. So we do have a little bit more story left. But
Just jump into it.
Oh, you just jump into it? But just jump into it? I mean, I think one thought is that
You get one.
School administration constantly fails.
Yeah, fails kids.
I never had a school administration moment where it was like, wow, that really helped me.
And that's your one thought. I agree.
Y'all know who's the right in this situation. Okay, anyway. I wanted to add something I said in the comments. My mom was for years a counselor. One thing she taught me is that repentance and forgiveness are not events but processes. Also that in order for bar.
Bars.
Drop the bar right there.
Bars.
Also that in order for a relationship to be restored, there must first be repentance from the wrongdoer. In light of that, a practice she had our family do was to write letters when one of us caused harm to another. The letter includes in detail the wrong the person has committed, the resulting harm that was done, the immediate actions that will be taken to mitigate the harm, and the long-term actions being taken to mitigate the harm to ensure that the action is not repeated. My wife is currently working on her letter. The person who receives the letter can respond and request that additional actions be taken to address the harm done. My wife knows she is only at the beginning of the process and that it is going to take time. And that is the end of that story.
Man, oh man.
Wow, I didn't expect the
I
end
think
of
it's
that
working
story
out.
to be like, and my wife is now writing us apology letters.
She's writing us a letter. It's good that the wife figured out that this was an issue.
For sure. I mean, it took her until
It took
literally
her
her own son was
years.
like, this is a entire
I had
list.
to write it out.
Here's the list, and it was
But,
like 5
yeah.
pages of
No.
harassment. She's
Pretty
like,
messed
oh my
up.
God.
Pretty messed up.
I'm so sorry, my son.
My son.
Um,
yeah.
so
No,